Chapter 576. Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, Genius Tower. In front of the Genius Tower, a woman in green stood there and looked up at the tower. Behind her, there were even more people who were watching from the back. Above the Genius Tower, they were witnessing the emergence of a miracle. According to the previous speed, we should be able to see the result by today. Someone in the crowd said. At this moment, even Murong Jian was standing in the crowd, looking up. Currently, the overlord of the Genius Tower, Li Zhongzhou's identity was known to everyone. Because at this moment, the girl standing at the front had already broken everyone's previous guesses. This girl was the one who stopped Li Zhongzhou that day. Li Zhongzhou roughly knew that this girl's identity was extraordinary, but he didn't know her specific situation. The majority of the people stood at the back because they knew that with their strength, they didn't have the qualifications to stand side by side with this girl. Even Wuxia stood at the back of the crowd, looking at everything in front of him. Li Zhongzhou. It's Li Zhongzhou again. Fuck his second uncle. Wuxia was a person who wanted to be a star very much. He wanted everyone's eyes to be focused on him, but these days, Li Zhongzhou's actions had already taken the limelight. Now, everyone in the academy was talking about Li Zhongzhou's glorious history. Even the matter of Wuxia and the others being beaten up by Li Zhongzhou at the entrance of the library was gradually dug up by people, and it became more and more exaggerated. Wuxia was almost treated as a villain, which made Wuxia quite angry in his heart. However, public opinion was powerful, and it was indeed true that he was beaten up. This point was hard to deny. Now, everyone's eyes were on Li Zhongzhou. Not only in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, but also in the other academies, and even in the alchemist world, Li Zhongzhou's name gradually became famous. Because now, Li Zhongzhou was also challenging the last obstacle of the 14th floor. Once it was conquered, some of the older mentors would enter and gain more things. This genius pavilion would also become a place where people would come in an endless stream. Many experts would come to visit in order to comprehend the alchemy insights in this genius pavilion. Although after getting older, one's potential would decline and would be more rejected by the Genius Tower, this didn't prevent one from learning more things inside. It's true that one's potential was insufficient. After getting older, the only thing that could compare with these younger generations was their own experience. Most of the people in front of them were here to inquire for their family elders. If the 15th floor could be opened, then even a 5th-grade alchemist would have a rich harvest. After all, this was a place for young people to train. If they saw this group of very old fellows and these young people crowded together in a room, wouldn't it be shameful if word of it spread everywhere? Therefore, they couldn't come because of their face, but if the 15th floor was opened, it would be different. After reaching the 15th floor, it could be regarded as entering a new level and domain. 7 was the limit. The 7th floor and the 14th floor were both very big hurdles. Therefore, even the green-clothed woman chose to give up. After all, she hadn't been able to solve this difficult problem in the past month. From this point, it was clear. This was the gap between realms. Although her mental power had reached this level, she couldn't deepen it too much and have more effects. The only thing he could do was to continue accumulating experience. At the same time, he could also raise his own realm through this comprehension. He had to have some sort of comprehension in order to stand out from such a difficult situation. She wouldn't be able to do it in a short period of time because Li Zhongzhou's rate of improvement was simply unimaginable. This guy, could it be that he's the reincarnation of a 7th-grade alchemist? The woman in green couldn't help but purse her lips. His pair of shiny black eyes also emitted a trace of intelligence. The brilliance in his eyes made his body shine even brighter. Many pairs of eyes were also on this woman, but she was completely unaware of it. In other words, she directly ignored them. It was this kind of arrogance that was present in his body. Her aura was very strong, so the people behind her didn't dare to get close. Do Ling, Er's aura is too strong. Dou Ling-er's identity is something that even our Murong family cannot find out. Father even specifically told me not to get too close to her. But now, it seems that even if I wanted to get close to her, it would be harder than ascending to heaven. Murong Jian looked at the woman in front of him from behind. This woman with an incomparably mysterious identity. Even if they flipped through the ancient records in the palace and even asked the Rain Pavilion to investigate, they still couldn't find any information about Dou Ling-er. This was a strange thing in the world. The Murong family that Murong Jian belonged to was considered to have a certain status in Royal City. With Prince Murong's strength, the resources from all directions were under his control. However, even under such circumstances, they still couldn't find out Dou Ling-er's true identity. If Dou Ling-er didn't appear out of thin air, then it meant that Dou Ling-er's background was so strong that even the Murong clan couldn't touch her. Therefore, Murong Jian was very obedient and didn't offend Dou Ling-er too much. In addition, he didn't like Dou Ling-er's temperament. However, if there was a way to subdue Dou Ling-er, no man would be willing to refuse. Right now, almost all the experts on the alchemist ranking have gathered. If Li Zongjiu can walk out of the 15th level, he will be ranked first on the alchemist ranking. Sima Chun glanced at the crowd. There were many girls here waiting for a miracle. Now, they wanted to see if Li Zongjiu could succeed. Yao Lei, did you really come with Li Zongjiu? Are you also from Kun province? In the middle, there was a group of girls surrounding each other and chattering away. In the middle of this group of girls, one could see a figure with an extremely cold expression. However, this was only on the surface. In fact, Yao Lei was a little nervous and shy in the face of these people's enthusiasm. When these girls found out that she had participated in the same exam as Li Zongjiu and came from the same place, these girls became abnormally excited. It was a pity that Yao Lei didn't know much about Li Zongjiu. However, if it wasn't for Li Zongjiu teaching her the mental cultivation method, Yao Lei wouldn't have been able to prove her talent with her strength in the second round in just a month. In the end, she was accepted by the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. She became the first person to successfully enter the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor after the second round of the exam. After all, in just a month, it was very difficult to have a breakthrough and change, unless you had a great opportunity. Under such circumstances, there was a chance. Obviously, these girls were very interested in Li Zongjiu. Yao Lei didn't know much, and she knew that she couldn't tell these girls that Li Zongjiu lived in the manor that she sold to him. Otherwise, there would be peeping incidents every 2 to 3 days. After coming into contact with these girls, Yao Lei thoroughly understood how terrifying it was when girls went crazy. Chapter 577. It's here. The lights are on. Fuck, he made it through. Everyone cried out in surprise when they saw this scene. Dou Ling-er's eyes narrowed into slits, appearing especially dazzling under the lights. This guy actually ran away. Dou Ling-er's mental strength was quite strong. She could clearly feel that Li Zongjiu's figure had disappeared from the Genius Tower. No one knew how Li Zongjiu did it. Li Zongjiu, you took away a very hot potato. Dou Ling-er couldn't help but sigh in her heart. From now on, if Li Zongjiu wasn't willing to hand over the item, there was only one outcome waiting for him. Since you don't want to make a deal with me, then I'll come and save you when you've suffered enough. Dou Ling-er also turned around and walked away, disappearing from the square. There was no trace of him. Dou Ling-er was also very clear in her heart that Li Zongjiu would be targeted by many forces. Even the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor wouldn't dare to interfere with some of these forces. Some of the people in the crowd also gradually dispersed. The Universe 9 revolving needle was an extremely rare acupuncture technique. Since the appearance of this technique, a large number of medical families had emerged. They were all chasing after this set of acupuncture techniques. Later on, they gradually understood the knack of it and knew that this set of acupuncture techniques was in the Genius Tower. However, despite knowing that there was a treasure here, no one could obtain it. What a sad thing it was. The last obstacle on the 14th floor of the Genius Tower was this supreme acupuncture technique. Now, almost half of the eyes in the Sacred Flame Royal City were staring at this place, waiting for the appearance of the Universe 9 revolving needle. Who would have thought that it would be obtained by an unknown brat? These people wouldn't let such a valuable item go to waste just like that. Although Li Zongjiu's strength wasn't bad, it was impossible for him to withstand the coercion of these forces by himself. The people below the Genius Tower had already seen the lantern on the 15th floor light up. They knew that this person had already passed. However, they didn't expect that Li Zongjiu's figure wouldn't appear for a long time. Later on, someone went up to check and found that Li Zongjiu's figure had already disappeared. So many people had to wait bitterly for half a day. When did Li Zongjiu disappear from the Genius Tower? He's so fucking awesome. He flew away without even seeing him. How did he do it? Sure enough, it's true that the real person doesn't show himself. He actually disappeared just like that. We didn't even see him in the capital. When Li Zongjiu's reputation gradually appeared, many people wanted to see who Li Zongjiu was. However, they found out that it was already too late. Previously, Li Zongjiu also showed his face in public. However, it was extremely difficult to make friends with him now because you couldn't even find him. In the library. When Li Zongjiu's figure appeared, he saw the library elder leisurely lying on the rattan chair. There was a feather duster in his hand that was gently fiddling with it. What's wrong? Did you encounter some trouble? The corner of the library elder's mouth curled into a smile. Finally, this brat came to ask him for help. Based on the elder's experience, it would be extremely difficult for Li Zongjiu to come and ask for help. That's why the elder was so smug. When Li Zongjiu saw that the elder seemed to have come prepared, the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. Old man, how many years have you lived? If you want to find trouble with me, you will probably have to continue cultivating for another 2,000 years. It's not my trouble, it's yours. Help me deliver something to a person called Alchemist Nan Sheng in the Black Water Forest. Li Zongjiu handed over the long black bag to the elder in front of him. When the old man saw this scene, he stood up with a thump. There was a trace of shock in his eyes. He even looked at Li Zongjiu in disbelief. This is the thing there. Even the elder had only heard of the thing hidden on the 14th floor of the Genius Tower. He had never seen it before. Now that he saw Li Zongjiu take it out, he was shocked. He guessed that if Li Zongjiu was smart, he would definitely come to him for help. However, he didn't expect that Li Zongjiu would directly entrust this thing to him. One must know that this thing was extremely precious. Countless forces wanted to get their hands on it. Now that it was in front of him, with his strength, he was completely confident that he could snatch it away and sell it for a good price. He might even be able to exchange it for an elixir that could heal him. However, the old man felt that it was beneath him to do so. However, Li Zongjiu's unhesitant trust touched the elder's heart. In this complicated society, trust between people was precious. Aren't you afraid that I will take this and run away? The elder took it but didn't open it. Although he had heard of the thing inside and was interested in it, it didn't mean that the elder would casually pry into it. Since Li Zongjiu had handed this thing to him, he would just give it to him as it was. You saw it a few days ago, right? Even if you are a peak Yuan monarch, it will be difficult for you to escape from my pursuit. However, if I make a move, there will definitely be some trouble. Li Zongjiu said. Upon hearing Li Zongjiu's words, the elder was shocked. What Li Zongjiu had said a few days ago was that he had destroyed the clone of a Yuan monarch powerhouse. To be able to do so was definitely not the achievement of a teenager. Therefore, Li Zongjiu himself had endless secrets. His potential and strength were undeniably powerful. He actually knew that the elder was spying on him in secret. This was also a very strange thing for the elder. This meant that Li Zongjiu's senses were much stronger than he had imagined. However, the elder still didn't believe that Luo Yunyang had chased after him. Everyone had confidence in themselves. No one would admit that they were inferior to someone else. That's not right. The old man's thoughts raced at this moment. When he saw Li Zongjiu's incomparably confident expression, he understood in his heart that Li Zongjiu's goal was not to be afraid of those who had designs on him. Instead, he wanted to play with these people slowly. This was why he was able to delay those who wanted to obtain the second half of the 9 Revolutions Universe Needle. Because, he was able to deliver this item smoothly. Good lad, can you hold on? These guys aren't small fries like the previous ones. They are truly powerful and courageous. Just as the elder was about to teach Li Zongjiu a lesson, he looked up and realized that Li Zongjiu's figure had already disappeared without a trace. Fuck, this lad is really something. When did he leave? Even the old man was shocked by Li Zongjiu's actions. Li Zongjiu was indeed powerful. He had actually disappeared in an instant. Even the elder couldn't sense it. This surprised the elder. Looks like my old bones need some exercise too. The elder twisted his body and walked out of the library. On the way out, he casually grabbed a teacher from the academy. I'm going out for a few days. During this time, you'd better look after the library. The teacher who was caught didn't even have time to react. Who dared to order him around so boldly? However, when he heard the words library, he looked up and saw the elder's gloomy face. Immediately, he shuddered. Yes. Elder Gu. Then, Elder Gu's figure disappeared from the spot and left the sacred flame royal city. On the other side, Li Zongjiu had just walked out of the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor when he realized that there were at least 3 groups of people following him. They are really looking for something in their coffins. Courting death. Li Zongjiu sneered in his heart. Then, he led the 3 groups of people and walked towards the small path in the city. Chapter 578. The Sacred Flame Royal City had a population of over 8 million. Among the many cities, it was definitely a giant existence. In such a city, except for some places where people could be seen everywhere, most of the other places were less populated. Even if the houses and the like had been renovated, it could still be seen that it was a relatively barren place. It was not that everyone in the Sacred Flame Royal City was rich. If that was the case, there would be no way to differentiate between classes. Li Zongjiu had only walked a few intersections away from the main road when his surroundings were already pitch black, as if there was no light or fire. There were only a few farms in the surroundings. These places were so poor that there was no profit to be made. Even the traces of the envoys were very rare. These envoys naturally would not wake up early if there was no profit to be made. If they could not make some profit in the area they were in, then there was no need to continue staying here. They were all thinking of ways to transfer themselves to places with more profit. Otherwise, how much money could the small salary in their hands be worth? Prosperity and stability were not as important as money. Who knew if they would encounter some extremely vicious people, and not only would they not be able to make much money, but they would also be slaughtered by the other party. Wouldn't that be a loss for them? Li Zongjiu walked in front and stopped. A few figures took the lead and walked out. In the process of tracking, one of the factions had already found the reinforcements. In terms of the number of experts, this faction was much more than the other 2 factions. Therefore, they naturally took the initiative to attack first. They had to be the early bird that catches the worm, the early bird that catches the worm, the early bird that catches the worm, must catch the worm first. Looking at Li Zongjiu's appearance, it seemed that he wanted to stop and negotiate. As long as they took the item away, there was no need to care about it. Li Zongjiu's life and death had nothing to do with them. Young man, hand over the item. Today, I guarantee that you will leave here alive. 5 figures surrounded Li Zongjiu. There was even a person crouching on the roof with a crossbow in his hand, locking onto Li Zongjiu. If Li Zongjiu wanted to escape from the roof, he would definitely feel the power of the crossbow. An old man wearing a white long-sleeved shirt and a pair of black cotton linen pants walked out. He wore a string of large black beads on his wrist, giving people the impression that he was an immortal. Hundreds of meters away on the street, someone saw the white-robed old man walking out and immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Yuan-splitting hand mountain tiger. Who would have thought that they would be able to invite such an expert? The people from the other two factions did not dare to move for a moment. They were on guard against each other in the darkness. At the same time, they had no choice but to send out someone to spread the news. The appearance of this mountain tiger required them to be very careful. It had to be taken seriously. It was rumored that this person was proficient in a set of yuan-splitting palm techniques. Any kind of yuan energy was useless in front of this person, and he could easily tear apart the opponent's yuan energy. It was as if someone was tearing a meat bun apart with their bare hands, tearing a person apart. It was rumored that this person had once torn apart a yuan monarch powerhouse. When he tore the person apart, the fresh internal organs could still be seen twitching violently. It was truly disgusting and cruel. Furthermore, this person never kept his word. He often went back on his word. Although he looked benevolent on the surface, in reality, whenever someone asked him to do something, he would kill the entire family of that person. He would not leave even a chicken or dog alive. Therefore, when they saw the mountain tiger appear, everyone became very cautious. Li Zongjiu looked at the people in front of him. These people did not seem to have any intention of restraining themselves. They directly held their weapons in their hands. These were true killers. The old man in front of him was hiding a murderous aura. Naturally, Li Zongjiu could see everything clearly. The latter was clearly not qualified to show off in front of him with this little bit of ability. A casual glance was enough to see through him. The words that came out of his mouth were all nonsense. I'm in a good mood today. If anyone wants to leave now, it's not too late. Li Zongjiu said. Then, he glanced at the people in front of him. There was no emotion in his eyes. There was only a sense of indifference. When he heard Li Zongjiu's words, the corners of the mountain tiger's mouth curled into a cold smile. Although directly killing a person who surrendered seemed to be a smoother thing on the surface, he still preferred to kill those who resisted. Because it was such a wonderful thing to be able to see the unyielding internal organs of such people when he cut open their stomachs. It was an unbelievable miracle. Very well, then let's go. The old man waved his hand. The remaining 4 people immediately attacked. 3 of them held swords and sabers in their hands and attacked at close range. As they approached, vigorous sword aura was released from their swords and sabers. Boom! Boom! The person walking on the roof also shot out the crossbow in his hand. Swoosh swoosh! Under the sharp aura, it was enough to see these terrifying ripples spreading. The cultivation of the 3 sword-wielding experts was all at the 7th grade origin ancestor realm. Li Zongjiu stood motionless in the face of these people's attacks. In the next second, he disappeared without a trace. Everyone's attacks fell on thin air. Sua Shan frowned when he saw this. He quickly caught sight of Li Zongjiu's figure. When he raised his head, he saw that Li Zongjiu's figure had already appeared behind the person on the roof. He grabbed the crossbow in the person's hand. His left hand slapped the person's head. Immediately, the person's head hit the ground and he fell with a bang. Li Zongjiu used the crossbow in his hand to aim at the 3 sword-wielding experts. He didn't even need to aim as he quickly pulled the trigger. Swoosh! Swoosh! The crossbow was made of special materials. It was enough to pierce through an 8th grade origin ancestor realm expert. Bang! Bang! When 2 of them heard the sound, it was already too late to turn around. The sharp crossbow arrow directly pierced through the back of their heads. Puff. Blood splattered as they fell to the ground without any extra movement. The cultivation of a 7th-grade origin ancestor realm expert was completely useless. On the other hand, the other person reacted slightly faster and turned his head around. His fate wasn't any better. He was shot in the head by an arrow. The difference between him and the previous two was that he had fallen face first, while the other two had fallen face first. After that, Li Zongjiu once again shot an arrow through the head of the person under his foot. He was slapped to the ground and hadn't been able to get up until now. Now that he had a taste of his own weapon, he probably had no regrets in dying. He glanced at the crossbow in his hand. The 5 arrows had all been used up. The first arrow was shot at Li Zongjiu. Sua Shan, who was stunned. He didn't expect Li Zongjiu to be so skilled. It was really unexpected. Such a move, such a seasoned method, it wasn't something that could be taught by an ordinary person. The way he killed and the expression he had. Even when he killed, there wasn't the slightest bit of killing intent leaking from his body. This was the truly amazing part. This is getting interesting. Sua Shan, who laughed. The more you resist, the more excited I get. Chapter 579. Your skills are not bad. However, your concealment of mental strength is useless in front of me. Sua Shanhu sneered as he started to move his hands. His elemental energy surged towards Li Zongjiu like a tidal wave. Boom! A domineering palm energy came from 20 meters away and blew away the roof that Li Zongjiu was standing on. Countless bricks and tiles fell to the ground. Die! If I, Sua Shanhu, want to kill someone, no one can escape. Sua Shanhu laughed out loud. With elemental energy infused into his laughter, Li Zongjiu's figure landed on the street once again. Coincidentally, his opponent's sound wave technique swept towards him, causing the surrounding walls to explode like compressed dust. Boom! Boom! Elemental energy filled the air. Li Zongjiu stood still on the spot. The surrounding walls exploded, causing dust to fill the air. However, this had nothing to do with Li Zongjiu. There was no movement in the surroundings at all. Li Zongjiu, on the other hand, was standing still. Even standing still was enough for him to face the terrifying energy fluctuations. Sua Shanhu's feet trembled. Li Zongjiu seemed to have been scared stiff by his aura. This was the best opportunity to attack. Sua Shanhu quickly charged towards Li Zongjiu. Boom! Origin splitting palm. Mount Tiger's figure melted into the cloud of dust in front of him and disappeared without a trace. The two groups of people who were watching from afar were shocked. Oh no, if they had subdued Mount Tiger, it would be difficult for them to pursue and capture it. Tailing Li Zongjiu was easy. However, tailing Sua Shanhu would put one's life in danger at any time. If Sua Shanhu was unhappy and turned around to kill them, it would be useless no matter how closely they pursued him. However, before they could give chase, they saw a figure flying out from the thick fog. It seemed that the figure had suffered an extremely strong blow, causing him to lose control of his body. With a bang, he crashed into the wall. When he crashed into the wall, he instantly fell to the ground. He never got up again. Quite a number of people were shocked and they saw this scene. Looking from this angle and sitting in such a posture, the bones in this person's body were almost completely shattered. Hiss. The one who died was Sua Shanhu. Sua Shanhu, how is this possible? Sua Shanhu was slapped to death. Just as these people were in shock, they suddenly felt that there seemed to be some movement in their surroundings. A bone-chilling wind suddenly blew over their heads. What is that? Just as these people had a bad premonition in their hearts, they turned around and saw a hand suddenly grabbing their heads. Their eyes were covered and their skulls were held in the other party's hand. Under such circumstances, they had no ability to resist at all. They could even smell the scent of blood on the hand. Crack. His entire head instantly exploded on the spot. Quiet down, all of you. Let's see where that kid went. When the person in front heard the commotion behind him, he couldn't help but frown. These fellows only knew how to cause trouble at such a crucial moment. If they were to let them escape, how would they explain it to their superiors when they returned? No, there's a scent of blood around here. Suddenly, the person in front smelled the scent in the air. He immediately realized that it was the scent of blood, and it was coming from behind him. He immediately turned around and saw that his subordinates had all fallen to the ground. A figure flashed past him. Just as he turned his head around, two hands appeared above and below his head. Crack! Then, he easily broke the neck. After killing everyone, Li Zongjiu wiped the blood off his hands and disappeared from the alley. Tonight was just the beginning. He was the great evil lord, Li Zongjiu. After his rebirth, he wouldn't be treated as a pawn. It was impossible for anyone to manipulate him at will. He would let these people know how terrifying the evil lord was. In just a few minutes, 3 groups of people died on the street, which was less than 100 meters away. The blood flowing all over the ground hadn't dried yet. Several figures landed and found the place where the corpses were piled up. A young woman in a wide-sleeved flowing dress came in front of the mountain tiger. She pressed her finger on the mountain tiger's neck, and a look of shock immediately appeared in her eyes. What a powerful palm technique! After shattering the mountain tiger's bones, it still managed to keep it alive for another 3 minutes. The young woman in the long dress was slightly shocked. This mountain tiger was an expert that they had spent a lot of money to recruit. Even if they could stall Li Zongjiu, they would have accomplished their mission. Moreover, there were some extremely fierce killers in the Jianghu. At this moment, they couldn't do anything and were directly killed by Li Zongjiu. It's impossible to practice such a powerful palm technique without hundreds of years of cultivation. There must be an expert beside Li Zongjiu. Find this person for me. No one can be the enemy of my Valley Immortal sect. The woman's eyes were sharp. She also looked in another direction. In the darkness of the street, 3 people slowly walked out. The woman in the long dress subordinates immediately surrounded them, guarding against them. Hall Master Fong is quite early today. I didn't expect to see Hall Master Fong of the Valley Immortal sect in such a desolate place. It's our honor. The elders of the Spirit Valley sect are also very diligent. Let me warn you first. If you want to take the things of my Valley Immortal sect, I advise you to prepare a coffin first. The 3 elders of the Spirit Valley sect were walking over. Regardless of whether it was the Spirit Valley sect or the Valley Immortal sect, they were both the largest suppliers of this pill in the market. They were places that specialized in the production of some high-level elixirs. Therefore, the power in the hands of these forces was very frightening. He wasn't someone that could be casually provoked. Martialists at the Yuan monarch level all hoped to gain the favor of these 2 sections. If they were hired by these 2 sects, they would have a great chance of obtaining high-grade elixir pills. If you want to give an example to let you understand how powerful these 2 sects were. Now, the famous South Heaven Elixir King in the Jianghu. He was an honorary elder of the Spirit Valley sect. Such an identity was enough to shock people. In terms of influence and strength, the South Heaven Elixir King could even establish his own sect. However, in the Spirit Valley sect, he could only be an honorary elder. It was just a name. In other words, it was a dispensable status. If it really couldn't be done, there would be no problem even if he didn't want to be an honorary elder. He seemed to be used to Fong Liuxin's impolite tone. Lu Wenshan of the Spirit Valley sect just smiled and shook his head. Hall Master Fong is still as straightforward as ever. Since we've put it this way, I, Lu Wenshan, will also say something. Whatever my Spirit Valley sect wants, no one can stop us. If anyone wants to try, then my Spirit Valley sect will accompany you till the end. The 2 giants of the elixir industry did not give in to each other. After Lu Wenshan of the Spirit Valley sect finished speaking, he waved his hand and the group quietly left the street. Chapter 580. I didn't expect the people of Valley Immortal sect to come so quickly. A slightly shorter middle-aged man beside Lu Wenshan said. There was a piece of bullshit ointment on his face. Because of his physique, he was allergic to the dust in the outside world, so he had to use this kind of ointment to suppress his allergic condition. Ah, I told you not to go down the mountain if you have nothing to do. Look at the situation around here. How terrible it is. The short and fat middle-aged man wiped his nose with a handkerchief. Coming to such a place was simply a living torture. How could anyone like to live in such a terrible environment? Yang Hui, you asked to come out. Now that you're out, you're talking nonsense again. Lu Wenshan said. Then he looked at the tall man who had been silent all the time. Zhou Kong, how's the situation? One palm shattered the bones and veins, but the internal organs are intact. This kind of move, the control of the power is extremely exquisite. If you want to cultivate to such a level, you'll need at least 80 years of cultivation. The tall man Zhou Kong said in a deep voice. Just now, they had already done a check. In fact, although these two people had just been promoted to elders, they were only apprentice elders under Lu Wenshan. So strong. Lu Wenshan could clearly understand the seriousness of Zhou Kang's words. 80 years of cultivation, that's 80 years, not 1 year less. It seems that this kid must be protected by experts around him. To be able to kill Mountain Tiger with one palm, it's not just a matter of experience and cultivation. Thinking of this, Lu Wenshan also took a deep breath. Although he knew that this mission would be incomparably difficult, he did not expect that this was just the beginning, and they would be given such a powerful show of strength. If this matter could not be settled, then he would be too ashamed to continue to be an elder when he returned to Spirit Valley sect. In addition, this Universe 9 revolving needle was of great importance. It must not be taken away by others. Once it fell into the hands of others, it could be imagined how much pressure it would bring to them. Right now, only these few sects had high-level pills. If there were other sects that caught up with them, then it would be fine. But if one of these sects had directly increased their strength, then it would definitely be Spirit Valley sect. Boss Lu, this Fang Liuxin doesn't seem easy to deal with. Yang Hui chewed on a stalk of herbal medicine. He could feel that Hull Master Fang's aura was quite fierce. He reckoned that Hull Master Fang was also a master who could kill without spilling blood. In terms of the usage of herbs, Hull Master Fang was even better than them. He was an extremely strong opponent. Fang Liuxin is hard to deal with, but we don't have to do it ourselves. There are some things where just being powerful is useless. You have to be smart. Let's go. Leave. Where are we going? The Shi family of the 4 great clans. Li Zongjiu wanted to go back to the Boyu Casino first. Maybe the Boyu Casino had already been targeted. In any case, it was his own business. Li Zongjiu didn't want it to be so easily destroyed. However, when they passed by a residential area, they noticed that something was wrong with the area. There seemed to be a lot of figures hiding here. Li Zongjiu stood in front of a house. There seemed to be a lot of figures in the courtyard behind the door. They were all trying their best to hide their aura. Insects? Li Zongjiu's nose twitched. He smelled something unusual. It was the disgusting smell of insects. Li Zongjiu immediately pushed the door open and entered without hesitation. He didn't even need to use his mental strength to sense. Li Zongjiu could feel that there were at least 6 or 7 people hiding in the courtyard and the house. They obviously used this place as a stronghold. The people who originally lived here had been killed and their corpses were used as nutrients for the insects. Obviously, Li Zongjiu's intrusion was not what they expected. They were even a little nervous. 3 of them hid under the wall, 1 behind the door, and 2 inside the house. When they saw Li Zongjio walk in, a person came out of the house. A man walked out of the house, his face covered with a black cloth. "Friend, what's the matter? Why did you intrude into my house?" The person who spoke in a low voice. He didn't approach Li Zongjio. As an insect charger, if he got too close to the enemy, it would be very dangerous. Therefore, it was necessary to keep a distance. "This is your house." Li Zongjio couldn't help but smile. Obviously, these people weren't waiting to ambush Li Zongjio. It was just that Li Zongjio happened to barge in, which made them a little helpless. If they could, they wouldn't have chosen to kill Li Zongjio. However, their elder had gone out and hadn't returned yet. Before he left, he had warned them not to act rashly. They had to be very careful in their actions in the city. "We have no enmity with you. If there's nothing else, I advise you to leave this place," the person said. Li Zongjio suddenly laughed. "Of course I'm here for something. What are you asking? What do you want?" The insect charger said in a low voice. He already had a bad feeling in his heart. "Of course I'm here to kill you." Li Zongjio waved his hand and said. In the next moment, his figure suddenly rushed to the side. The people who were hiding behind a tree near the wall were immediately shocked. Li Zongjio directly grabbed his head and slammed it against the tree. Bang! Suddenly, his head exploded on the tree. Blood and brain matter splattered everywhere. "Ah!" the other person suddenly shouted. Obviously, he didn't expect Li Zongjio to suddenly appear in front of him and kill him directly. Just as the other person shouted, Li Zongjio had already broken his neck easily. "Kill him." Immediately after the middle-aged man finished speaking, he found that his throat was tightly gripped by a hand. He couldn't speak anymore. Crack! His neck tilted and he lost his breath. As for the other people, Li Zongjio didn't show any mercy and killed them all. None of them could escape. Has the southern border poison sect started to act? Li Zongjio couldn't remember the time. Moreover, history might not be the same in this life. At the very least, many things had been reversed by Li Zongjio. This courtyard was only used as a secret base by the southern borders poison sect to make it easier for them to move about in the city. However, they didn't expect Li Zongjio to meet them when he passed by. Since he met them, there was no need to let them go. It was a pity that the original owner of this house was a family of 4. Their intestines and stomachs had long been torn apart, and they no longer looked human. In the end, Li Zongjio could only burn this place to the ground. Some of the unhatched insect eggs were also burned by Li Zongjio. It would be very difficult for the officials to intervene in this matter. After all, even the special envoys wouldn't be willing to come to such a place. In the distance, a group of 5 people was walking. Suddenly, they saw a ball of fire in front of them and immediately stopped to look. Why does the direction of the fire look so familiar? Elder, isn't that our stronghold? What? Our stronghold was burned. When the poison sect elder heard this, his eyes widened. Quick, rush back. I'm incubating a batch of precious insect eggs. Who set the fire? Unfortunately, by the time the southern region's poison sect members rushed back, the house had already been burned to the ground. Who did it? Find out who did it. Just looking at the elder's face, his anger was almost overflowing. He had spent a lot of effort to cultivate those insect eggs. He deliberately found a relatively remote place and even sent people to protect it. Who knew that it would be burned to the ground by a mysterious person? How could he not be angry? Chapter 581. Tonight was also a turbulent night. However, Li Zongjio, a person who walked in the dark, did not need to hide his identity anymore. Relying on his current strength, there were not many people who could defeat Li Zongjio. When he returned, he also exterminated some of the southern border poison cult members. This immediately made Li Zongjiu feel good. However, Li Zongjiu recently had a feeling that there was an inexplicable gaze that was watching his every move in the dark. The street in front gradually revealed a slight chill. The weather was gradually turning cold. Of course, for a Yuanli expert like Li Zongjiu, it was naturally not a problem. Murong Jian had been waiting for Li Zongjiu on the street for a long time. Tonight was destined to be a difficult night for Li Zongjiu. Who knew how many people wanted to obtain the Universe 9 revolving needle from Li Zongjiu's hands? Brother Li, I am Murong Jian. Murong Jian looked at Li Zongjiu who was walking towards him. Li Zongjiu recognized this person. In the Heavenly Star Medicine manor, they had met several times. However, he did not remember if Li Zongjiu had beaten him before. It must be said that Li Zongjiu had beaten up too many people. Occasionally, he would miss one or two people and forget about them. This was a very normal thing. Do you also want the thing in my hands? Li Zongjiu asked as he walked. Seeing that Li Zongjiu did not stop and walked straight towards him, Li Zongjiu could not help but feel nervous. Li Zongjiu's aura was unpredictable. This was something that Murong Jian had a deep understanding of. In addition, the latter's strength was constantly increasing. It seemed that from the beginning, he had already shown a state where he could crush his peers. As for now, they could only look up to him. Therefore, Murong Jian knew that the gap between him and Li Zongjiu was very big. However, as the son of Murong Wang, how could he admit defeat so easily? Naturally, he had to straighten his back. This was the only way to win glory for the Murong family. Even though Murong Jian already had some thoughts of retreating in his heart, as Li Zongjiu walked over, a kind of tremor still spread from the bottom of his heart. No, I am here on behalf of the Murong family to discuss a cooperation with you. Murong Jian said. At this moment, Li Zongjiu's footsteps were already very close. At such a close distance, if Li Zongjiu's body was filled with killing intent, then Murong Jian's legs would probably go soft and he would kneel down. What cooperation? Li Zongjiu asked. Since it was a cooperation, then Li Zongjiu would definitely welcome it. The Murong family's strength was considered quite good in this city. Since he wanted to hang his signboard on Li Zongjiu's door, then what reason would Li Zongjiu have to refuse? Who? When Murong Jian saw Li Zongjiu's footsteps stop, he finally felt relieved. If he continued to approach, then he might be crushed by Li Zongjiu's aura. It was too terrifying. He did not want to become enemies with such a person. It was hard to imagine how terrifying it would be if he had an enemy like Li Zongjiu in his life. The Murong family is willing to help your Boyu casino to integrate all the underground casinos, including the Blue Tiger Gang's territory. In exchange, the Murong family would like to borrow a copy of the Universe 9 revolving needle. We will return it in 3 days. Murong Jian said. He sorted out his emotions. At this moment, he should not be moved. He forced himself to be calm. At least, he did not lose face in front of Li Zongjiu. If you want to negotiate, then you still don't understand the main point. Go back and study for 2 years, then come and find me. Li Zongjiu's figure appeared beside Murong Jian. He put his hand on Murong Jian's shoulder and gently patted him twice. Murong Jian was so scared that his whole body tensed up. However, he did not feel Li Zongjiu's approach at all. Li Zongjiu's cultivation had already reached the point where he could appear and disappear unpredictably. As he said that, Li Zongjiu lifted his head and looked at a tall building in the distance. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. These people were really interesting. Was this also called cooperation? Integrating the resources of the underground casinos was a simple matter for the current Li Zongjiu. Even the Blue Tiger Gang. If Li Zongjiu did not want to continue playing, then it would not be a problem for him to directly wipe out the entire Blue Tiger Gang. If Murong Wang wasn't a fool, then he would be too naive if he wanted to take away a treasure that even a Yuan monarch martialist would sacrifice his life for. In the direction that Li Zongjiu was looking at, there was a private room in the tall building with a window facing Li Zongjiu. When they saw Li Zongjiu looking over and his arm on Murong Jian's shoulder, the two people in the private room stood up and looked a little nervous. This kid actually dares to threaten me. Murong Yunzhan was stunned when he saw this scene. Then, he sneered. He, Murong Yunzhan, had seen all kinds of situations in his life. Today, he was actually threatened by a teenager. The teenager's meaning was very clear. If he did not have enough sincerity, then don't come looking for him. If the next person to appear was Murong Jian, then Murong Jian's life would be in danger. Your Highness, do you want me to teach this person a lesson? Standing beside Murong Yunzhan was a black-clothed old man. His appearance was a little skinny, but his hands and feet were filled with power. With a single glance, one could tell that he was a martial arts expert. Although his eyes appeared turbid, his gaze was filled with sharpness. With a casual move, he could launch a thunderous attack. No need. In my opinion, there is still room for negotiation with this person. There is no hurry to make an enemy out of him. Furthermore, it would not be a good thing for the Murong family if we rashly make an enemy out of such an unknown person, Murong Yunzhan said. When he said this, the old man beside him was completely shocked. One had to know that this Murong Wang, who dominated the world, had never been afraid. When had he ever been afraid? Even when he was facing millions of soldiers, he was able to ensure that his aura was not affected at all. Instead, he became more and more courageous as he fought. Now, he was actually hesitating in the hands of a teenager. This was something that had never happened before. Looks like I need to find a time to pay this person a visit, Murong Yunzhan said. The old man beside him was even more incredulous. With Murong Yunzhan's status, if he wanted to meet this kid, he only needed to issue a summon order. Naturally, there would be someone to invite this Li Zongjiu over. But now, he actually said that he wanted to meet him personally. What did this Li Zongjiu do to deserve this? He actually got Murong Wang's favor. Chapter 582. Li Zongjiu did not make things difficult for Murong Jian. Perhaps among the younger generation, Murong Jian was considered quite outstanding. At the very least, he was able to stand in front of Li Zongjiu for such a long time without being scared to the point that his legs went soft and he directly knelt on the ground. They walked into the Great Pleasure Casino. Taifai happened to have some information to give to Li Zongjiu. Young master, you asked me to pay attention to the recent movements in the city. Something big must have happened in the city recently. The two of them sat in front of the table. After a while, Du Liani also came. According to the authority that Li Zongjiu had allocated, Taifai naturally had the most authority. However, he also gave some authority to Du Liani. At least, Du Liani could use a lot of power. Wang Ding was considered a reserve power. The real development still depended on the joint management of the two of them. Therefore, Du Liani was also asked to come and listen when there was something, so that it would be easier for them to take action and deploy. What do you mean? Li Zongjiu asked. Taifai then took out a stack of information. The few top forces in the underworld, Snowfield Spirit Valley Sect, Valley Immortal Sect, and Longevity Pavilion, have all sent important people to the city recently. Moreover, some famous people in the underworld have also appeared. Each of them is very strong, such as Yuan Splitting Hand Mountain Tiger and Demon Staff Nan He. These are all top experts in the underworld and they are notorious. If not for the temptation of money, these people would not appear so easily. Taifai said. These people were all famous. Before Taifai set foot in the underworld, he had already heard of their names. If these people were still alive, their strength was simply unimaginable. Yuan Splitting Hand Mountain Tiger. This name sounds familiar. Is this person powerful? Li Zongjiu asked. Rumor has it that this person's palm technique is amazing. He once split a Yuan King expert in half with one palm. Du Lianyi said. Sounds interesting. Li Zongjiu nodded. If there was a chance, he would definitely exchange blows with this person to see what kind of skills he had. Of course, Li Zongjiu's seat was naturally to let the other party make a move and then kill him. It was just to let the other party show off his moves and see what kind of skills he had. Otherwise, wouldn't it be too cruel if he didn't even have the chance to use it after cultivating for half his life? What Li Zongjiu didn't know was that he had already killed the spirit-severing palm mountain tiger. In fact, during the battle just now, Mountain Tiger had announced his name. Unfortunately, Li Zongjiu didn't remember it, which was why he said the name sounded familiar. Young master, it's best that you don't encounter this person. It's said that this person is vicious and merciless, and he kills people like scything flax. Most importantly, he goes back on his words and likes to toy with his prey. He's an extremely dangerous person. Taifai said with a dignified expression. This was not a joke. If he really encountered this person, although it would be embarrassing to run away, at least he would be able to keep his life after running away. He wouldn't have to die in vain. I'll be more careful next time. What's the background of Spirit Valley Sect and Spirit Valley Sect? Li Zongjiu had never heard of these two sects in his previous life. However, Chongqing Pavilion was a famous sect in his previous life. Before the true heyday of alchemy, Chongqing Pavilion was the only sect in the world with a level 7 alchemist. Li Zongjiu had once wanted to enter Chongqing Pavilion to learn alchemy. Unfortunately, he couldn't even find the entrance. Not to mention participating in any assessment. However, Li Zongjiu's achievements were far beyond anyone in Chongqing Pavilion. Therefore, in the later days, Li Zongjiu didn't give Chongqing Pavilion any face at all. Even Chongqing Pavilion was a little puzzled why did evil Lord Li Zongjiu seem to have a prejudice against these sects. These two sects are mainly alchemy sections. However, they aren't very famous in Jianghu. Only the real higher-ups who have reached a certain realm can come into contact with these people. It can be said that most of the level 5 pills in the market today are from the alchemists of these two sections. Li Zongjiu understood after hearing this. Even though there were a lot of alchemy geniuses in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, it was still difficult for them to refine some 5th-grade pills, let alone sell the pills they refined. It was estimated that not many people would be able to do it. Being able to refine one pill was already a very difficult thing. If he wanted to sell this pill, wouldn't it be a huge loss? They didn't even have enough for themselves. Why would they want to sell it to others? Since Valley Immortal Sect and Spirit Valley Sect had such a surplus of pills, it meant that these two sects had a lot of level 5 alchemists. Once an alchemist broke through to the level 5 realm, he would be recruited by these two sections. People strive for higher heights. If an alchemist above level 5 wanted to break through, he could only enter such a place to learn. Nantian Dan King is the honorary elder of Spirit Valley Sect. Du Lianyi said. Because Du Lianyi was also the 9th prince's follower, some news of Jianghu would also flow through Du Lianyi's hands. Naturally, she knew more than ordinary people. A bunch of trash. Not worth mentioning. After knowing the nature of these people, Li Zongjiu waved his hand again and again. He thought they were some powerful people, but they were just a bunch of alchemists. If you want to compare who is better, Li Zongjiu wouldn't dare to say that he is the best in the world. But if it is a competition of alchemy, he has never been afraid of anyone. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Taifai and Du Lianyi just smiled in agreement. You are the young master, so you can say whatever you want. They seem to have come to this city to participate in some alchemist exchange. Maybe they will also send an invitation to you. Taifai said. With Li Zongjiu's identity, it was natural to invite Li Zongjiu to this level of exchange. At least in this city, the most popular young alchemist recently must be Li Zongjiu. What's the point of going to these rubbish gathering places? I just found some gathering points of southern Xinjiang's insect masters in the city. Send someone down to check where these guys are hiding. I want to wipe them all out. Li Zongjiu said. Speaking of the southern border insect masters, Tai-Fai and Du Lian's eyes flashed with a trace of doubt, but they didn't ask much. Since they were the young master's enemies, then they were naturally their enemies. Young master, Song Jieyu of the 7-Star Stove wants to see you. Chapter 583. Song Jieyu was invited to Li Zongjiu and the others. Previously, it was precisely because of Li Zongjiu's support and assistance that Song Jieyu was able to regain her position as the person in charge and stabilize the current situation. The toying between these methods also appeared to be quite advanced and mysterious. Although it became very simple, it was still very difficult to achieve this point. Song Jieyu did it. With a spirit of overcoming all difficulties and an arrogant attitude, she forcefully incorporated the new Saber Axe Pavilion. Now, the 7-Star Fire Room was officially on the same level as the Sky Sword Pavilion. Young Master Li, long time no see. The storm in the city has not calmed down because of you. Song Jieyu said with a smile after seeing Li Zongjiu. As the saying goes, people are in high spirits when faced with happy events. Now, Song Jieyu's position in the Song family was getting higher and higher. More power of the 7-Star Fire Room was also in her hands. Now, as long as Song Jieyu did not make any major mistakes, she could basically continue to stay in this position. You're also not bad. You completed the task ahead of time. I underestimated you before. Li Zongjiu said. It only took him 1.5 months to deal with the Saber Axe Pavilion, which was earlier than the plan. Not only did he deal with it crudely, but he also integrated the power of the Saber Axe Pavilion into his own subordinates. It became his own sharp knife. Such a method was also extremely brilliant. Have a seat. Li Zongjiu said. Song Jieyu sat beside Du Lian. She had heard about Du Lian, who was gradually becoming famous recently. Du Lian was originally an expert in the gambling world. Now, she became the lady boss of the pawn shop. There was a mysterious force behind her. If it was not for the strong financial support, it would be difficult to do things well. Song Jieyu only found out later at Du Lian was Li Zongjiu's subordinate. The financial support behind Du Lian was the Great Yu Casino. Li Zongjiu's move was very brilliant to be able to open up this line in one fell swoop. At least, while he was constantly accumulating wealth, he was also constantly taking some treasures into his arms. In the long run, there would definitely be some valuable treasures that would fall into Li Zongjiu's pocket. As long as there was enough time, money would just go in and out in the left pocket. It was not a big deal. Congratulations, young Master Li. Today, you killed the Yuan-splitting Palm Mountain Tiger. Tomorrow, your name will enter the list of the major forces. In the future, there will be more people coming to seek cooperation. Song Jieyu said. Her words made Li Zongjiu somewhat confused. Not only was Li Zongjiu confused, but even Tai-Fai and Du Lian were also puzzled. Miss Song, what do you mean? Just when Tai-Fai wanted to confirm whether Song Jieyu was stupid or made a mistake, a subordinate immediately came in. Manager, young master, urgent news. Tai-Fai glanced at Song Jieyu, but Li Zongjiu waved his hand. Why are you so flustered? Speak, there are no outsiders here. After receiving Li Zongjiu's permission, the messenger hurriedly said, the news has already spread like wildfire. The legendary Yuan-splitting Palm Mountain Tiger was killed by a palm strike in a third-class district in the southern part of the city. There are no less than 10 corpses at the scene, all of them experts. What? When Tai-Fai and Du Lian heard the news, they both gasped. Tai-Fai continued to ask. Who did it? This. The outside world has different opinions. There is no accurate information for the time being, but most people say that it was done by young master, young master did it, Tai Feihe immediately looked at Li Zongjiu. Du Lian's eyes were also filled with disbelief. This was too shocking. They were just talking about the extremely ferocious and dangerous yuan-splitting hand mountain tiger, but it had died just like that. This expert who had dominated the Jianghu for at least 10 years was killed just like that. They couldn't believe this news. It came too suddenly. Looking at Song Jiayu, Tai Fei seemed to understand, or rather, confirm, that it was Li Zongjiu who had killed the Palm Mountain tiger. After dismissing the messenger, the two of them looked at Li Zongjiu doubtfully. Li Zongjiu also had a feeling of sudden realization. Oh, so that old man was the yuan-splitting Palm Mountain tiger. He couldn't even block a palm strike from me. Li Zongjiu said. It seemed like the famous people in the Jianghu were basically bragging. Otherwise, how could the real situation be so different from the legends? According to Tai Fei's explanation, Li Zongjiu even thought that the Palm Mountain tiger's strength was at least at the peak of the Yuan monarch realm. However, the person who had killed him with a single palm strike was only at the peak of the second-grade Yuan monarch realm. How could someone who had killed a first-grade Yuan monarch, or someone who had just broken through to the Yuan monarch realm, claim to be able to kill a Yuan monarch elite with a single palm strike? The standards of people nowadays were really low. After hearing Li Zongjiu admit it himself, Tai Fei and Du Lian finally understood how terrifying Li Zongjiu was. Where did such a monster come from? It was really unbelievable that such a terrifying existence existed. Li Zongjiu was too much of a monster. He killed without hesitation. Even after killing the other party, he didn't even know who he had killed. Wasn't that a little too careless? It's a small matter. I will settle these people myself. You don't have to worry. Li Zongjiu waved his hand and said. These people? Who? Tai Fei and Du Lian did not understand. What exactly was Li Zongjiu talking about? Could it be that he had gotten into some trouble recently? Valley Immortal Sect and Spirit Valley Sect. If nothing goes wrong, Chongqing Pavilion will also become your enemy. Song Jiayu said. What? Tai Fei felt that his brain was not enough. Had he been sleeping in bed for half a year? Why had the world become like this after he woke up? When did these things happen? They did not know before. According to the information from the 7-star fire room, the 3 groups of people that young Master Li killed happened to be the people sent by Valley Immortal Sect, Spirit Valley Sect, and Chongqing Pavilion to monitor them. Now, Valley Immortal Sect and Spirit Valley Sect know that they have dispatched experts at the level of Hall Masters and Elders. In addition, we have just received information that Elder Lu Wenshan, the leader of Spirit Valley Sect, has brought people to the residence of the Shi family, one of the 4 great families. Song Jiayu said in a deep voice. This matter was of great importance. Therefore, Song Jiayu had to come and inform them. This matter was not simple. If the Spirit Valley sect were to cooperate with the Shi family, it would definitely cause an earth-shattering change in the relationship between the 4 great families. Even the slightest ripple could bring about great changes. So what? Even if these people join forces, what can they do? Li Zongjiu said disdainfully. What are you doing here today? Don't tell me you're here to congratulate me. Li Zongjiu looked at Song Jiayu. Earlier, Valley Immortal Sect had sent people to test the 7-star fire room. They wanted to use the strength of the 7 forces including the 7-star fire room. Now, these forces are in a wait-and-see state. Our 7-star fire room does not have much interaction with elixirs, so you don't have to worry. Song Jiayu said and then glanced at the expressions of the others. Li Zongjiu indeed had an indifferent attitude. In addition, these 10 sets of raging dragon capturing flames are my private sponsorship. Chapter 584. 10 sets of dragon capturing wrath. After Li Zhongjiu had displayed the might of Raging Dragon capturing Fury once at the Essence Weapon Conference, almost everyone had shown an extremely strong interest in this ferocious operation of Raging Dragon capturing Fury. But unfortunately, the price was too high. It was not a wholesale agent, but the price of one set was 50 million purple yuan. Although some families had large businesses, it didn't mean that they could casually take out 50 million purple yuan and leave it here, waiting to use it for self-defense. After all, this thing required a lot of money to buy energy stones, and only through constant training and repeated operation could its power be stimulated. Therefore, only some bored collectors, especially those who had money to spare, would buy it. At most, they would buy 1 or 2 sets. Even if they bought more, they would not be able to afford it. 10 sets of Dragon Capturing Wrath. That was a total of 5 billion purple yuan. Private sponsorship was so generous. If they cooperated with each other, who knew how generous it would be? You know how to conduct yourself. I appreciate your kindness. Li Zhongjiu laughed. Taifai and the others also realized that Song Jieyu's move was indeed brilliant. In such a situation, it could be said that she had sent charcoal in snowy weather. If Li Zhongjiu really became the enemy of the 2 big sects or even the 3 big sections. In that case, this power was a must. But it must be said that Li Zhongjiu and Song Jieyu had a cooperative relationship. If Li Zhongjiu had not asked Shadow Fox to assist him, Song Jieyu might not have become what she was today. Now, Li Zhongjiu could be said to be facing a formidable enemy. The enemy's strength was also very strong. At this moment, Song Jieyu had sent 5 billion purple yuan worth of equipment as support, which was quite reliable. If Li Zhongjiu was eliminated in the end, Song Jieyu would only lose 5 billion purple yuan in the whole process. Even if she was questioned by the people of the 3 big sects, she could easily get away. It was not a big deal. If Li Zhongjiu won this battle, Song Jieyu would have done her best. She was really a smart woman. Li Zhongjiu did not dislike such a person. After all, this was the way of the world. Some stupid people could barely survive if they followed the right person. But if ordinary people did not have their own means and ideas, they would be used sooner or later. Stepping on them as a cushion. It was also a very normal thing. You could play tricks, but if you wanted to use tricks to violate Li Zhongjiu's interests, Li Zhongjiu would directly cut your hands off. Other than that, this is the newest one, the 2nd generation Raging Flames Dragon Slayer. Currently, this is the only finished product. According to our previous agreement, this also belongs to you. Song Jieyu took out the other storage ring. The storage rings were placed on the table. The Dragon Capturing Wrath. When they heard this name, Taifai and the others could not help but be shocked. If a weapon was upgraded, although it was not as difficult as developing a new weapon, it was not that simple. Just making some small changes might require a huge amount of financial and material resources. That would be a very scary number. According to the current market situation, even if the 2nd generation Wrath was developed, it would have to be delayed for at least half a year or even a year before it could be sold and promoted. After all, the Dragon Capturing Wrath was still relatively stable in the current market. It was difficult for anyone to compete with it. The latest research was handed over to Li Zhongjiu so quickly. If this thing was leaked, it would definitely cause a huge blow to the 7-star fire workshop. The 2nd generation Wrath came out so quickly. Li Zhongjiu did not expect that the 7-star fire workshop's ability seemed to be a little stronger. Even if it was a top forging workshop, the speed of the weapon's upgrade still made Li Zhongjiu very surprised. During the last Yuan Weapon Grand Meeting, you have already displayed all the functions of the 1st generation Furious Flame Capturing Dragon. Therefore, we are naturally aware of the flaws that still exist within it. Hence, we also have a direction if we want to improve it. Song Jieyu said. These days, not only were they busy dealing with the Saber Axe Pavilion, but also researching the functions of the second-generation wrath was naturally the most important thing. Only by having a new weapon in hand could they be considered to have control of the lifeline of the weapon industry. As a Yuan weapon shop, the 7-star fire workshop naturally had to pay attention to this point. The value of the second-generation wrath is even more than the value of the 10 first-generation wrath. Taifai said. It was already very good for Song Jieyu to be able to reach this point. Moreover, there were some people who did not understand whether she was here to help Li Zongjiu or to draw a clear line with Li Zongjiu. Now, it's your turn to show your value and strength. Song Jieyu looked at Li Zongjiu and said. In Song Jieyu's mind, in the previous operation, even if Li Zongjiu was not there, she still had a way to get rid of the Saber Axe Pavilion. Now that she had such a cooperative relationship with Li Zongjiu, she, Song Jieyu, had shown her strength. Therefore, it should be Li Zongjiu's turn to show off as well. From the beginning to the end, Song Jieyu had placed herself in the same position as Li Zongjiu. Only when they were in a cooperative relationship would they have a chance to take down this matter. If she wanted to dominate the Song family, she, Song Jieyu, must have a strong backing. If Li Zongjiu wanted to destroy Qin Yuan Manor, he naturally needed Song Jieyu's 7-star fire room as a strong support force. Song Jieyu's body naturally exuded a trace of domineering aura. Du Lianyi and Taifai looked at each other. This Song Jieyu did not seem simple. From Song Jieyu, they could see a lot of things. It seemed that Song Jieyu's ambition was far beyond the sacred flame royal city. After delivering the items, Song Jieyu immediately took her leave. In the face of the 3 major sects that were about to appear, Taifai and Du Lianyi appeared to be under great pressure. It should be known that with the strength of these people, it would be easy for them to destroy their casino or whatever. They did not even need to inform anyone. So what if they destroyed it directly? No matter how much preparation they made, it would be useless. Both sides were not on the same level of strength. However, Li Zongjiu did not seem to be in a hurry at all. Since the Shi family and that Spirit Valley sect want to join forces to deal with me, I'll start with the Shi family. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. It was an extremely dangerous smile. As of now, Li Zongjiu had temporarily completed his tasks in the city. The Universe 9 revolving needle had already been sent out and he had come to the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor. Therefore, the remaining time did not matter to him. Even if he wanted to barge into the Genius Tower, there was not much point in doing so. If there was enough time, Li Zongjiu would like to study the Hell Prajna technique. It was a set of cultivation techniques born from the Black Dragon Sovereign's Yuan spirit. With Li Zongjiu's current strength, he could barely touch upon it. The space domain could only be fully displayed when he reached the Yuan King level. But now, Li Zongjiu's strength had increased significantly. Among the 4 great Yuan spirits, the White Dragon Yuan spirit had already stepped into the Yuan King level. But the Golden Dragon Yuan spirit and the Blood Dragon Yuan spirit, they were still a little lacking. Especially the Blood Dragon Yuan spirit. In comparison, the number of people Li Zongjiu had killed was still too little. Chapter 585. In that case, Li Zongjiu would no longer have to hold back in the Sacred Flame Royal City from this day onwards. After the massacre in the first half of the night, the people from the 3 major sects, who had vowed to take down Li Zongjiu in one fell swoop, finally calmed down. The people from the Chongqing Pavilion were the last to arrive in the city. They stayed in the Yingkai Inn. The leader of the Chongqing Pavilion was the young pavilion master, Pei Si. He had 3 generals under him, all of whom were at the elder level. In addition to their Yuan monarch level cultivation, what was even more shocking was that they were all grade 5 alchemists. When the 3 grade 5 advanced alchemists entered the city, it naturally caused a huge commotion. On the surface, it was as calm as still water. However, countless people were secretly racking their brains to invite the masters from the Chongqing Pavilion to their own clans. Even if they did not refine pills this time, they believed that the people from the Chongqing Pavilion would not reject them the next time they had a need. In Cayenne, the three great elders sat in front of Pei Si. The four of them seemed to be waiting for something. At this moment, someone knocked on the closed door. "Young master, they are here." A female disciple from the Chongqing Pavilion came in and reported. "Let them come in." Pei Si waved his hand and said. Then, a figure walked into the room. Pei Si had a playful smile on his face. When he saw the person in front of him, the smile on his face became even wider. "Brother Xian Ming, long time no see." Shi family. When the people from the Spirit Valley sect stayed in the Shi family, the current head of the Shi family, Shi Chuji, was overwhelmed by the unexpected favor. He even almost emptied his room for the elders from the Spirit Valley sect. "Welcome, elders. Your presence brings light to the Shi family's humble dwelling." Shi Chuji led a group of elders from the Shi family to welcome them at the door. Shi Baoshan followed behind Shi Chuji and the others. When he thought about how he had been humiliated by Li Zongjiu, Shi Baoshan gnashed his teeth in hatred. He wished he could skin Li Zongjiu alive. "Patriarch Shi, you're too modest. We came here in a hurry and didn't even have a place to stay. We'll have to trouble Patriarch Shi for a few days." Lu Wenshan said. It's okay. Even though the Shi clan is not the #1 clan in the city, it's not a problem if all the elders and disciples of the Ling Valley sect come together. Then I'll have to trouble you for a few days. Lu Wenshan said very politely. "Oh, that's right. Could I trouble Shi family head to help me prepare a person's information?" Lu Wenshan said. He went straight to the point without hiding anything. After all, he didn't come here for sightseeing, but to deal with Li Zongjiu. "Whose information does Elder Lu want?" "His name is Li Zongjiu." Lu Wenshan thought for a while and said. "Li Zongjiu." Shi Chuji found the name familiar, but he couldn't remember where. Instead, Shi Baoshan exclaimed, "Li Zongjiu. Little brother, do you know anything about Li Zongjiu?" Lu Wenshan looked at Shi Baoshan. Shi Baoshan was also a little frightened. After all, he wasn't sure if Li Zongjiu had offended Lu Wenshan, or if these people came here to ask for help from Li Zongjiu. Lu Wenshan said slowly, as if he saw the hesitation on Shi Baoshan's face. "Li Zongjiu has something that our Ling Valley sect wants. If necessary, even if we have to kill Li Zongjiu, we must get it. That means there's a grudge." Shi Baoshan's face suddenly changed, as if he couldn't wait to tear Li Zongjiu into pieces. "Elders, don't worry. I have a complete set of information about Li Zongjiu, including the properties under his control. I have already investigated it thoroughly." Shi Baoshan said. Lu Wenshan and the others looked at each other. They didn't expect their luck to be so good. Since someone had already prepared for it, it saved them a lot of effort. "Very good. If that's the case, then you've helped us a lot." "Haha. Elders, please come in. I have already prepared some food and wine." Shi Chuji said. "Let's go." Shi Baoshan didn't expect that someone would come to avenge him so soon. It seemed that he didn't have to wait too long to kill Li Zongjiu. He had to cripple Li Zongjiu first. Shi Baoshan didn't think that someone would come to avenge him so soon. It seemed that he wouldn't have to wait too long to kill Li Zongjiu. The news of Lu Wenshan and the others staying in the Shi family had reached Shi Shu's ears. Recently, Shi Shu and Shi Tairan had also been staying in the Shi family. Shi Tairan had been dismissed from his position, and now he was focusing on his cultivation. He didn't care about the matters of the family, and some of the authority was gradually taken over by Shi Chuji. Plus, there was the support of Qingyuan Manor. Shi Tairan even believed that Shi Chuji was already planning to kill him. On the other hand, Shi Shu's presence was usually quite low. Plus, he didn't have long to live, so these people didn't put Shi Shu in their eyes. They were just waiting for Shi Shu to suddenly die one day. However, Shi Tairan also heard that Lu Wenshan and the other elders of the Spirit Valley sect were coming. Shi Tairan, who was in seclusion, quickly went to find Shi Shu. I just received news that someone is here to deal with your friend, Li Zongjiu. Immediately go and inform your friend to leave this place. The one who wants to kill him is the Spirit Valley sect. Shi Tairan said solemnly. Shi Chuji, this trash, wanted to turn the Shi family into a puddle of muddy water. Moreover, the people of the Spirit Valley sect wanted to kill with a borrowed knife. These people who came were all alchemists. Killing someone and robbing them didn't require them to do it personally. Of course, they would leave it to these people. Shi Shu was shocked when he heard this. Over the past few days, other than refining a few elixirs and giving them to Zhao Jingxian, he treated it as payment for interest. After that, he started to improve his strength. Although Shi Shu's Yuan power had entered the Yuan King realm, he had never fought in a battle. However, if one were to talk about combat, he had practically never experienced it before. Most of his time was spent on alchemy. With regards to combat and how to use his Yuan power, he was completely clueless. Since he had finally returned to normal, he naturally wanted to experience it properly. Many martial arts and Yuan skills had to be cultivated from scratch. Fortunately, Shi Shu's talent was good, and with the help of the withered meridians, Shi Shu's meridians became clearer and smoother. Therefore, when he came in contact with martial arts, his learning efficiency was greatly improved. Deal with Li Zongjiu. I'll be back soon. Shi Shu heard this news. As an alchemist, he naturally knew how powerful the Spirit Valley sect was. Back then, he also wanted to ask the elders of the Spirit Valley sect to treat his withered meridians. However, these people politely rejected him. This was because they didn't have a way to cure this illness. Generally speaking, this kind of treatment that they didn't have much confidence in would not be easily done. Otherwise, wouldn't it be tarnishing their reputation for nothing? If that were to spread, others would say that they directly killed a person. Shi Shu hurriedly left the Shi family and went straight to the Boyu Casino. The Boyu Casino was Li Zongjiu's property. Since he found the casino, he naturally knew where Li Zongjiu was. Chapter 586. Purple Pill Institute. Purple Pill Institute was also a famous school in the Sacred Flame Royal City. The buildings here were all purple-red in color. It gave off an oppressive feeling. Purple Qi came from the east, full of vigor. Although the establishment of the Purple Pill Academy was not as good as that of the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor, the reputation of the Purple Pill Academy gradually rose because of the few great teachers and the emergence of many famous experts. Today, a middle-aged man came to the Purple Pill Institute. When the middle-aged man wanted to enter the Purple Pill Institute, he was stopped by the night guard. Stop! Who are you? Unauthorized people are not allowed to enter the Purple Pill Institute. A fierce-looking guard walked out with a machete in his hand. The middle-aged man was not in a hurry. He just stopped and looked at the guard. Originally, he wanted to teach this blind person a lesson. It was already so late, so he must want to go in and hang some junior sisters. He was really shameless. However, after seeing the middle-aged man in front of him, the guard was stunned. The security guard was also stunned at first. Then, he kept rubbing his eyes and blinking desperately, trying to see the person in front of him clearly. Damn! Damn! Nan! Nan Tian! Grandmaster Nan Tian! The middle-aged man's face was extremely familiar. Due to his identity and status, the Academy had created a bronze statue of him, which was placed in the Hall of the Exalted so that one could observe it at any time. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. The middle-aged man's face was extremely familiar. Due to his identity and status, the Academy had created a bronze statue of him and placed it in the Hall of the Exalted so that one could observe it at any time. Is Vice Principal Jing here? Pill King Nan Tian smiled. He did not have the arrogance of the legends. Instead, he gave people a feeling of intimacy. Yes. Yes. Vice Principal. She has never left. I will go and inform her immediately. No need. I will go personally. The cold air in this mountain is very cold. You are on night guard all year round. This cold-repelling pill can maintain the power of ethereal fire in your body. It will not be attacked by the cold air. Pill King Nan Tian casually threw a pill to the guard. This guard had been working here since the time when South Heaven Pill King was studying. After so many years, he was full of problems. Although his body was still stable, if he continued to grow older, he might collapse. This is a third-grade high-level medicinal pill, I can't accept it. The guard let out an earth-shattering sound, but when he turned around, Pill King Nan Tian had already disappeared into the darkness. For this ordinary gatekeeper uncle, he casually took out a level 3 high-grade medicinal pill. He was truly extravagant, worthy of the demeanor of a pill king. The appearance of the Southern Heaven Elixir King in the Saint Flame Royal City would definitely cause a huge commotion. After all, the Southern Heaven Elixir King usually stayed in the south and rarely came to the central region of the empire. It had been many years since he graduated from the Purple Pill Academy. This time, he returned to his alma mater and reminisced about it. He was indeed a loyal and affectionate person. Tonight alone was destined to be a sleepless night. Feng Liuxin, the Hall Master of the Valley Immortal sect, led his disciples to live in a splendid courtyard in the city. Previously, this courtyard had a very resounding name. Yi Clan's Courtyard. Although Yi Lantian had been killed, the wealth he had accumulated over the years had not decreased. Now, the entire Yi clan was under the control of Yi Lantian's wife. Xiang Shu and Lady Xiang were in the hands of Yi Lantian. No one dared to believe that Madame Xiang of the Yi family and Hall Master Feng Liuxin of the Valley Immortal sect were once friends despite the difference in age. When they were young, they met by chance when they wandered the Jianghu. Although they didn't contact each other often, they were still in contact. I didn't expect that 15 years would pass in the blink of an eye. You actually became the Hall Master of the Valley Immortal sect. Xiang Shu looked like she had experienced the vicissitudes of life. Her eyes revealed a trace of fatigue, but she had gradually adjusted recently. The Yi clan's huge foundation could not be destroyed by Xiang Shu's hands. The incompetent sons of those concubines had also been strictly trained by Xiang Shu. Although she had no choice, she still had to choose one of them to be the head of the Yi family. However, as long as the Yi clan was in Lady Xiang's hands, the Yi clan would still belong to her. Of course, what Xiang Shu wanted was to protect the Yi clan's reputation. Although the Yi clan was fully in Xiang Shu's hands, the Yi clan was surnamed Yi after all. She was a woman, and there was no way she could change the name of the Yi clan. Why didn't you tell me earlier that such a big thing happened to you? There was a trace of blame in Feng Liuxin's tone, but it was more of heartache. He felt sorry for this sister of his whom he had not seen for many years. He did not expect that she would end up in such a miserable state in the end. Sister, do you know who the enemy is? To be able to kill so many people of the Yi clan, it must be a capable person. With Xiang Shu's strength, she might not be able to deal with it, but with Feng Liuxin's strength, it might not be impossible to deal with these people. What's more, the people of the Valley Immortal sect came this time with their reputation. They did not come in the name of personal matters. His appearance was enough to attract the attention of everyone in the area. As the giants of the alchemy world, they appeared at the same time. What they were after was definitely not simple. Although I don't have concrete evidence, the most likely enemy would be the one called Li Zongjiu. However, he's been in the limelight recently, and his strength isn't weak. It's hard to make a move. Xiang Shu said in a deep voice. It was naturally not difficult to find some clues about Li Zongjiu. Although the final result was somewhat unbelievable, this kind of thing happened most of the time. No one dared to believe that a teenager could do such a thing. Even if it was not Li Zongjiu who did it, it was definitely related to Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu from the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Hearing his sister's words, Fang Liuxin's eyes had a trace of surprise. The reason why our Valley Immortal sect came to the Holy Flame Royal City is also to find this Li Zongjiu. Or rather, to take something from him. Fang Liuxin said. Xiang Shu's eyes were filled with disbelief as she looked at Fang Liuxin. After seeing the affirmation in Fang Liuxin's eyes, she gradually became excited. Since Li Zongjiu is related to the murder of my brother-in-law, after I capture Li Zongjiu and interrogate him, I will know everything. The two women also hated the same person in the room at the same time. Li Zongjiu probably did not expect that some of the enemies he had made over the past few days would come together now. Chapter 587. Shi Shu had been waiting in front of the casino since early in the morning. When he came yesterday, the casino was surprisingly closed. Although Shi Shu found Tai-Fi didn't let Shi Shu disturb Li Zongjiu. However, Shi Shu told Tai-Fi about the situation and Tai-Fi said that he already knew about it. However, Shi Shu saw that Tai-Fi didn't seem to care about it. It seemed that these people didn't know how powerful the Shi family was or how powerful the Spirit Valley sect was. When facing these people, Shi Shu couldn't let his guard down. Moreover, the Shi family's strength was definitely not as simple as it appeared on the surface. A casino like the Boyu Casino could be destroyed in a matter of minutes. Even if they spent a lot of money to open a bigger casino, it wouldn't be a problem. To be able to become one of the four great families of the Holy Flame Imperial City was enough to prove their terrifying strength. However, Shi Shu didn't bother with Tai-Fi too much. Instead, he waited for Li Zongjiu to come out. Therefore, he waited at the entrance of the casino early in the morning. It's you, why are you still here? When Tai-Fi opened the door early in the morning, he saw Shi Shu still waiting at the entrance. Opening the door personally was a rule of the casino. Only by doing so could one prosper. Brotherly, did you come out? Shi Shu asked. Tai-Fi was about to answer, but a voice came from behind him. It's you. You came at the right time, I'm going to your Shi family. Li Zongjiu saw Shi Shu and said. Last time, he had refined a heavenly mending pill and given it to Shi Shu. With Shi Shu's withered veins, it wouldn't take long for him to recover under the effects of the heavenly mending pill. In front of the corresponding pill, even a terminal illness was like a small cold that could be treated casually. You absolutely cannot go to the Shi family. Now, there is a group of people in the Shi family. They're here specifically to deal with you. You'd better hurry and leave Sacred Flame Royal City. People from Spirit Valley sect are really not to be trifled with. They won't stay in this city for long. You just need to hide for a while and you'll be able to keep your life. Shi Shu said anxiously. His eyes were solemn. You waited outside for an entire night just to tell me this news? Li Zongjiu asked. Shi Shu was a little too straightforward. He had actually waited here for an entire night. Then, Li Zongjiu turned to Tai-Fi and said. Next time, we have to invite him in. Although Li Zongjiu didn't treat Shi Shu as a friend or brother, he couldn't mistreat someone who treated Li Zongjiu sincerely. Yes, young master. Since you're here, bring me to the Shi family. Since these guys want the things in my hands, I'll give them to them. Li Zongjiu said. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Shi Shu was stunned. First of all, he couldn't believe that Li Zongjiu could be so open-minded. This was indeed a good idea. As long as Li Zongjiu gave them what they wanted, these people wouldn't have any reason to target Li Zongjiu. Although Shi Shu had thought of persuading Li Zongjiu in this way, he was also a member of the Shi family. If he said that, wouldn't Li Zongjiu treat him as a lobbyist? That would be a huge misunderstanding. He couldn't do something like betraying his friends. That's good too. It's good that you can think this way. Since you've decided, Shi Shu will ensure your safety in the Shi family. Shi Shu patted his chest and said. In the Shi family, if anyone wants to kill you, they'll have to step over my dead body first. Shi Shu said. Logically speaking, Shi Shu had experienced so many life and death struggles. He had the most say in matters of life and death. He was also the one who had the most desire to live. If he could make Shi Shu swear on his life, it was enough to show how much importance he placed on this matter. That's not necessary. You just need to bring me there. Li Zongjiu smiled and said, relax, you're not going to die. Li Zongjiu patted Shi Shu's shoulder and said, then walked towards the street ahead. Shi Shu was stunned at first, then looked at Li Zongjiu's figure. Although Li Zongjiu said it casually, Shi Shu had a bad feeling in his heart. He hadn't known Li Zongjiu for a long time, but he more or less knew that Li Zongjiu wasn't a person who would compromise so easily. Just as he was thinking about it, he saw that Li Zongjiu had already walked far away. Immediately, Shi Shu shouted out loud. You're going the wrong way, this way. Li Zongjiu stopped in his tracks. If he turned around and went back, it would be very embarrassing. There was a bun shop nearby, so Li Zongjiu went up and bought a few buns. I'm just buying breakfast. Then, under Shi Shu's lead, Li Zongjiu and Shi Shu walked towards the Shi family's courtyard. At this moment, Li Zongjiu's every move was being watched. Now that they knew that Li Zongjiu was going out, all kinds of information were flying around. In the Shi family, many people were also ready. I wanted to find him today, but I didn't expect him to take the initiative to walk into the trap. Lu Wenshan and the others sat in the hall, drinking their morning tea. It seems that this guy knows how powerful we are and took the initiative to surrender. Yang Hui said with a big belly. There was some breakfast placed beside his table. He was also eating non-stop, smacking his lips. It's not that simple, we still have to be prepared. Zhou Kong said in a deep voice. Judging from the fierce means last night, the method of killing people to silence them, there was no fear in it at all. If there was fear, there would be no need to wait for an entire night to hand over the thing. Don't worry, if that guy dares to act recklessly, I'll beat him into a pile of meat paste. In the hall, a man with long hair said. He was wearing a loose white robe and had a skinny body. If one didn't look carefully, one would think that he was a girl. But his voice was deep, with a hint of flirtatiousness. Demon staff, Nan He. From his body, there was an instinctive evil aura. It was very strange for such a person to be good at staff techniques. Those who could use this staff well were basically some martial arts geniuses with special talent. Elders, don't worry, the Shi family will not let any problems happen to our guests in the Shi family. Shi Chuji said proudly. A mere pugilistic boy who thought that his talent could bring about a big change, but in reality, before he grew up, he was just a grasshopper that jumped a little higher. There was nothing to be afraid of. In the real world, there were dangers that could easily kill jackals, wolves, tigers, and leopards. It wasn't something that a small grasshopper like him could understand. As the patriarch of one of the 4 big families, he still had this much confidence. Patriarch, young Master Shi Shu has brought Li Zongjiu to the door. Someone from the Shi family came to report. Since they're here, let them in. It's not like the 2 of them can't fit in the living room of the Shi family. Shi Chuji said. Chapter 588. The rest naturally had no objections to Shi Chuji's decision. Lu Wenshan and the rest also wanted to see who exactly Li Zongjiu was. He actually dared to commit such a massacre. To Lu Wenshan and the rest, Sacred Flame Royal City was just like a city of mortals, and Li Zongjiu was just a slightly more active mortal in this city. Their curiosity towards Li Zongjiu was just like a child who wanted to see a monkey in a circus. It was that simple. They were high and mighty, ruling over life and death. They could easily control one's fate. But before that, there was nothing wrong with watching one's performance. Shi Shu walked in with Li Zongjiu and saw Shi Chuji and Lu Wenshan sitting on the high seats. Were these the legendary experts of Spirit Valley sect? Then, Shi Shu's gaze fell on Demon Staff Nan He. Even a glance at this person made him feel as though his spirit was being destroyed by the other party's aura. It was really shocking. These people were the real experts. Even though Shi Shu had already broken through to the Yuan King realm, he was still too young to compete with these people. Shi Shu, you have done well. There is nothing for you to do here. You may leave. Shi Tairan was not dead yet, so Shi Chuji would not do anything to Shi Shu. If Shi Shu was willing to concoct pills for the Shi family, it would be a very good choice. Unfortunately, Shi Shu was about to die. What was the difference between him and that piece of trash? Moving slightly would cause him to cough incessantly. When the wind blew, his entire body would collapse on the ground. What was the use of keeping such a person? This is the person who contracted the dry pulse disease. He seems to be in good condition. It seems like the disease has not flared up yet. He can still hold on for a few more years. Yang Hui looked at Shi Shu and said. They had also paid attention to this alchemy genius of the Shi family. At such a young age, he was already able to concoct a 5th-grade pill. Although his cultivation level was not stable enough, to be able to reach this level alone in such a desperate situation was enough to prove his talent. If he could live a little longer, perhaps the Spirit Valley sect would be willing to help him. A sick piece of trash who was about to die. Compared to a sickly alchemy genius who was on the verge of death, that was not the same in terms of value. They were even willing to help this alchemy genius who was about to die. You must be Li Zongjiu. Lu Wenshan said in a deep voice. Putting aside Shi Shu, the most important thing now was to solve the problem of Li Zongjiu. Hearing Lu Wenshan's words, Li Zongjiu also walked forward. As he walked, he also observed the surrounding environment. As the Shi family's guest hall, just this floor alone was at least 10 meters high. It was like a large hall, and the surrounding white jade pillars were warm in winter and cool in summer. If an ordinary person obtained a thumb-sized piece, they could use it to ward off the cold and avoid the heat. In the Shi family, a total of 18 white jade stones were used to support the stone pillars. Furthermore, the white jade stone pillars were engraved with runes, making them extremely sturdy. If one wanted to smash their head against the stone pillars and was afraid that the walls were not sturdy enough, one could give the white jade stone pillars a try. It was guaranteed that one would be able to get what one wished for. You are from the Immortal Valley sect, right? Li Zongjiu dragged a chair from the side and placed it in the middle of the road. On the left and right sides were the elders of the Shi family, Yang Hui and the others. Opposite them were Lu Wenshan and Shi Chuji. When Li Zongjiu sat down, he became the focus of everyone's eyes. Sure enough, it was just as the intelligence report said, wild and unruly. Just from this action, Lu Wenshan already knew that Li Zongjiu was not here to surrender. But he still said patiently. We are from the Spirit Valley sect. I, Li Zongjiu, have no enmity with any of you. Now, I am here to give you a chance. If you leave now, I can let bygones be bygones. Li Zongjiu waved his hand and said. As he spoke, his eyes scanned the surroundings. But if you choose to stay, then don't blame me for being impolite. I have already given you a chance. You can decide for yourselves how to choose. After he finished speaking, Li Zongjiu pointed at Demon Rod Nan He who was sitting at the back and said. Also, this Yin Yang person can't leave. I don't like it. Everyone else can start choosing. You have 1 minute to consider. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. 1 minute to consider. Let bygones be bygones. Be impolite. Decide for yourselves. When he heard Li Zongjiu's words, Shi Shu realized that he was wrong. He was really wrong. This Li Zongjiu was not here to give them anything. He was here to die. Do you know what kind of people are sitting in this hall? How dare you use such a tone to talk to them? He could not believe his ears. This caused Shi Shu's heart to gradually tremble. The first one to fall into a state of rage was Demon Rod Nan He. Yin-yang person. Although Nan He looked a little yin, he was an extremely masculine person. Can't you see the Adam's apple on his throat? It was the symbol of a man. Nan He immediately flew into a rage. Fuck you. A sharp gust of wind swept towards Li Zongjiu. Boom. The chair Li Zongjiu was sitting on was directly blown to pieces. Because the South River was close to Shi Shu was instantly sent flying by the South River's aura. The sudden commotion caused the stone tree's heart to tremble. In front of this difficult situation, he did not have time to make a move. When he raised his head to look, he thought that Li Zongjiu would be seriously injured and captured. However, it was not what he imagined. Li Zongjiu's figure appeared behind Nan He. Moreover, there was a strange rectangular metal box in his hand. Raging dragon capturing flames. However, the raging dragon capturing flames in front of him looked smaller and was not as heavy as the ones on the market. However, the pitch-black tube directly revealed an extremely terrifying aura, as if it wanted to devour a person's soul. Take this as a gift for you. Li Zongjiu directly pulled the trigger. It was aimed at Nan He's head. Boom! With a loud sound, Nan He's head was instantly blown apart by a flame. Chapter 589. Demon Staff Nan He. Although he wasn't the overlord of Jiangnan, his status in Jianghu was at least on par with Yuan splitting hands with Shanhu. But now, in front of so many people, his head was blasted off in an instant. Such an outcome could be said to be rather unexpected. Even those people were still enraged by Li Zongjiu's words. But in the next second, because of Nan He's death, the entire place became silent. Lu Wenshan's eyes widened in anger as he watched the scene unfold before him. His pupils were also filled with an inconceivable light. That demon staff Nan He was merely an expert hired from outside. Now that his corpse was lying in the hall, no one stepped forward to help Nan He collect his corpse. Instead, he was secretly glad that he wasn't the one who died just now. The weapon in Li Zongjiu's hand was just too powerful. Dragon capturing fury. Shi Chuji looked at the item in Li Zongjiu's hand. Shi Chuji had seen this item before. Moreover, the armory of the Shi family also had a similar weapon. Back then, they had also bought it and placed it in the Shi family as a backup for their collection. Moreover, this was a mutual business relationship. However, when Shi Chuji saw the dragon capturing fury in Li Zongjiu's hand, he immediately felt that something was wrong. This was because the dragon capturing fury in Li Zongjiu's hand seemed to be a little special, and there was also a difference in its size. You have 30 seconds left. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Seeing this, Lu Wenshan didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at Shi Chuji beside him. Shi Chuji also knew that his chance had come. If the Shi family could win the cooperation with Spirit Valley sect through this battle, even if they had to sacrifice a few elders, it would still be within their control. It wouldn't take long for them to make up for this loss. How dare you? This is my Shi family's territory. You can't be so presumptuous here. Shi Chuji immediately roared in anger. Immediately, the elders of the Shi family, who could no longer hold themselves back, began to move. Immediately, 3 of them released their Yuan power and summoned their Yuan spirits to possess them. A terrifying aura spread out from all directions, trapping Li Zongjiu within it. Not good, it's the Great Rock Formation. When Shi Shu saw the three elders taking action, he knew that things were not going well. The Great Rock Formation was the Shi family's killing formation. 3 people was the lowest level. Once it was activated, it would definitely be in a state of continuous circulation. If one's strength level, one's a strength rock formations, one would be completely trapped within. The Great Boulder Formation's power lay in the fact that it could completely wear away one's strength. Li Zong shook his head helplessly. I'm very satisfied with your choice. After he finished speaking, Li Zongjiu's lips curled into a smile. If all of them walked out, Li Zongjiu would have come here for nothing. The reason he came here was to kill people, not to play house with them. However, Li Zongjiu wasn't the kind of person who would make trouble for no reason. Moreover, he was very reasonable now. Generally, when killing someone, he must give the other party a reason to die. If it was in the past, Li Zongjiu would definitely not like such troublesome matters. Usually, the moment he walked in, he would kill on sight. The 3 elders' aura instantly trapped Li Zongjiu in the middle. Yang Hui and Zhou Kong hurriedly retreated to Lu Wenshan's side. Firstly, they wanted to protect Lu Wenshan. Secondly, they had to ensure their own safety. If they were accidentally killed by Li Zongjiu, it would be a serious problem. If Lu Wenshan died, it would be difficult for them to bear the responsibility. Li Zongjiu did not dodge. The 3 elders of the Shi family circled around Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu did not panic either. He directly fired a few cannonballs with his Fury Dragon capture, but they were all blocked by the other party. Boom! 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 All of the energy directly attacked the Great Rock Formation. Li Zongjiu's attack seemed to be powerless. Kid, you want to break the formation with this level of skill? Go back and cultivate for another 500 years. One of them laughed loudly. However, just as he opened his mouth to laugh, his expression instantly froze. Although it couldn't be seen with the naked eye, the elder could feel that his Yuan spirit power seemed to be wrapped in a ball of flame. Moreover, the blazing temperature seemed to be burning his Yuan spirit completely. No! Bang! 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 The 3 elders' origin spirit energy collapsed at the same time, as if it was a backlash from the formation. It directly shattered their brains. A ball of black flame seemed to jump out from their heads. Then, as it jumped around, everything was burned to ashes. Not even half a corpse was left behind. Even the clothes on their bodies were burned to ashes. Outsiders may not be able to see it, but as alchemists, Lu Wenshan and the others could clearly feel the power of Li Zongjiu's flame. This is, the flame of alchemy. What a strong flame, it can even carry mental energy. Directly burning their souls. I didn't think that you would be so vicious at such a young age. Yang Hui pointed at Li Zongjiu and said. If one wanted to say that Li Zongjiu was vicious, it would be terrifying. They never thought that Li Zongjiu would actually have such an ability. They had never seen such a terrifying flame before. If it was aimed at them, even they would not be able to withstand it. Li Zongjiu did not waste any time with these people, and directly rushed towards Shichuji. Among these people, Li Zongjiu was not going to let go of them. And behind Shichuji, there were still people guarding her. He would deal with these people first. When Shichuji saw Li Zongjiu rushing towards her, although she was a little nervous, she did not panic on the surface. Instead, she looked as steady as Mount Tai. Just when Li Zongjiu's figure was less than 5 meters away from her. Immediately, a distorted spatial fluctuation appeared in front of Shichuji. A pair of iron claws stretched out from the distorted space. Swish! On the iron claws, blood splattered. A terrifying power instantly rushed towards Li Zongjiu. Thunder Slashing Blade. A thunder slashing blade was placed in front of him, and it easily shattered the blood claws. At the same time, his figure paused for a moment, but in the next second, the iron claws once again attacked with gusts of cold wind. The aura was as sharp as a blade, as if it wanted to cut Li Zongjiu's body. He did not choose to face it head-on, but instead, he lightly tapped his feet and retreated more than 10 meters. Chapter 590. In front of Shi Chuji was a man with a strange pattern on his face and the word Wang written on his forehead. Li Zongjiu couldn't help but frown. What kind of person would write the word Wang on his forehead? Could this person be? Lu Wenshan could tell that the person had an extraordinary aura and seemed to have been hiding in the hall since the beginning. This meant that this person's disguise and concealment skills were quite good. After all, how could a person appear out of thin air? That was simply nonsense. It was possible to say that this person was a disguise. That's right. Guardian of Qin Yuan Manor, Tiger King Guardian. Shi Chuji said with a faint smile. This Tiger King protector was sent by Qin Yuan Manor to protect him. Or rather, this Tiger King protector was sent to monitor him. However, it didn't matter. Anyway, as long as he could help him control the Shi family, he would be able to hold his head high in the Shi family. He didn't need to be a yes man in front of his big brother, Shi Tairan. He also needs to have his own dignity and face. If Shi Tairan can do it, then I, Shi Chuji, can do it too. Kid, meeting me today is the day you die. What a pitiful kid. Don't worry. Before you die, I will let you see your own heart. The Tiger King Guardian smiled cruelly. These days, the Shi family could be said to have a good life. They could get whatever they wanted. Compared to the days in Qin Yuan Manor, it was much more comfortable. Now that Li Zongjiu was clearly here to destroy his beautiful life, how could he let Li Zongjiu get what he wanted? He must take Li Zongjiu's neck. He must let the Shi family return to peace. However, the Tiger King Guardian's eyes fell on the thunder-slaying blade in Li Zongjiu's hand. Thunder-slaying blade? Kid, what is your relationship with Lei Gong? When he saw the thunder-slaying blade, the Tiger King Guardian was stunned. Before coming to Sacred Flame Royal City, Lei Gong had already forged the thunder-slashing blade. Back then, when Tiger King Guardian wanted to borrow it to take a look, he was rejected by Lei Gong. And now, it was in the hands of Li Zongjiu. Could it be that Li Zongjiu was Lei Gong's illegitimate son? If that was the case, they would be on the same side. Lei Gong. The last time I beat him up, I don't think you were even born yet. Li Zongjiu said. His tone was calm, but the content was too arrogant. You're courting death. The eyes of the Tiger King's guardian suddenly turned cold like an angry beast. His entire body started to swell rapidly as if he was rushing towards the front, helping the Tiger King's guardian to rush forward. Boom! His speed was like a ferocious tiger pouncing on a rabbit, full of explosive power. Even at such a short distance, many afterimages appeared. It made it difficult for others to determine the other party's position. Since your claws are so powerful, I'll cut them off first. Li Zongjiu gently swung the thunder-slaying blade in his hand. Suddenly, a terrifying lightning radiance bloomed from the thunder-slaying blade. Boom! The thunder-slaying blade shone brightly. It rushed forward like a shadow. The Tiger King Guardian also stretched out his tiger claws in front of the lightning that filled the sky, colliding head-on with Lei Gong. Tiger Rend Kill. The metal claws in his hands also bloomed with a terrifying radiance. There seemed to be a ferocious tiger on each of his claws that was about to jump out. However, this time, the Tiger King Guardian's move did not succeed. It was directly blocked by the lightning in front of Li Zongjiu. As the electric net interweaved, it directly trapped the specially crafted Tiger Claw glove, causing it to be unable to release the power within the Tiger Claw glove. The Tiger King Guardian's face was instantly shocked. He immediately activated his yuan power. He wanted to shatter the power of lightning in front of him. However, he realized that Li Zongjiu's figure had appeared directly at the side. What? When the Tiger King Guardian saw Li Zongjiu behind him, a trace of panic suddenly emerged in his heart. In this panic, because until now, his hands were still trapped by the lightning energy. It seemed that he was completely trapped inside, no matter how much he tried to increase his strength. However, he could not break free from the restraints in front of him. This made the Tiger King a little nervous as well. Swoosh! The Tiger King Guardian only saw a white light flash in front of his eyes. At first, he did not feel any pain. However, in the blink of an eye, he saw that his wrists were broken. Fresh blood spurted out like a fountain. Puff! Both of his hands fell to the ground. It was only when he saw his palms twitching that the Tiger King Guardian realized that his hands were chopped off. My hands! In the next moment, the power of thunder surged. It was as though there were numerous thunder vines that were blooming out continuously. Instantly, they coiled around the body of the Guardian of the Tiger King. Pa! The Tiger King Guardian's majestic body fell to the ground. Lightning spread all over his body, but it could not damage the Tiger King Guardian's body. Even the wound where his hands were chopped off was blocked by a tyrannical yuan power. This way, the blood in his body would not flow out. Just because his hands were chopped off, it did not mean that he would not be able to live. Everyone saw the Tiger King Guardian's hands being chopped off. His hands, which were still wearing the special tiger claw gloves, fell to the ground. In the next second, the Tiger King Guardian's body also fell to the ground. He could not move at all. Shi Chuji's eyes widened when he saw this scene. He was well aware of the Tiger King Guardian's strength. He was a genuine Yuan King elite. However, his hands were chopped off just like that, and he was even knocked to the ground at the same time. It was simply too inconceivable. He didn't even have time to react at this moment. It all happened too quickly. What would Li Zongjiu do in the next moment? Roar! The Tiger King Guardian, who had fallen to the ground, knew that his life was at stake. He immediately let out a deep roar, which was like a powerful shockwave that blasted towards Li Zongjiu's head. Boom! Li Zongjiu retreated quickly. He retreated to the side. Li Zongjiu had actually hidden a sound wave technique. As such a sure kill technique, this was within Li Zongjiu's expectation. Therefore, he used his mind power in time to block the shockwave outside his body. He did not suffer any injuries. On the other hand, some of the other people were also shocked by this sudden roar. It was deafening, and even the surrounding white jade stone pillars were constantly trembling and swaying. After the storm, everything calmed down. When everyone had recovered, the Tiger King Guardian stood up. The Tiger King Enforcer had also stood up. However, he wasn't prepared to continue the battle. Instead, he was prepared to flee. With his strength as a second-grade Yuan King, he did not have the slightest ability to fight back in front of Li Zongjiu. Although the weapon in his hand was a little strange, Li Zongjiu's strength was definitely not to be underestimated. Brat, my Qingyuan manner will not let you off. The sound wave technique from before had also pierced a huge hole in the ceiling. Immediately, the Tiger King Guardian leaped up and rushed towards the hole. He escaped. Qingyuan manner. Li Zongjiu didn't have much time to chase after this Tiger King's enforcer. What would he do if he ran away? However, when he heard that this guy came from the Qin Yuan villa, he suddenly became excited. Whoosh! Li Zongjiu seemed to be stepping on the wind, and his figure instantly disappeared. The two figures instantly disappeared from the hall. Not good, that brat ran away. Yang Hui immediately said. The rest of the people did not expect the Tiger King Guardian from Qingyuan Manor to be so cowardly. He ran away just like that. When he came out just now, he was still so majestic. Bang! As soon as Yang Hui finished speaking, a loud sound was heard. A heavy object fell from the ceiling. Chapter 591. Plop. Even if he were to fall on this layer of cotton, his internal organs would probably be severely shaken. Everyone finally saw clearly that the person who fell on the ground was none other than the Tiger King Guardian who had just escaped. I didn't want to kill you at first. I only wanted to chop off your claws. But who knew that you were from Qingyuan Manor? Don't you know that I have a grudge against Qingyuan Manor? Li Zongjiu's figure floated down once again. The Tiger King Guardian who had fallen on the ground had his internal organs severely injured. A mouthful of blood was stuck in his throat as he spat it out. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, the Tiger King Guardian widened his eyes. The shock in his eyes seemed to be telling Li Zongjiu. Why didn't you say so earlier? If you had said so earlier, I wouldn't have said that I was from Qingyuan Manor even if I was beaten to death. It was a pity that the moment he opened his mouth, blood flowed out continuously. Then, Li Zongjiu took out the raging dragon slaying flame and prepared to hit the Tiger King Guardian's head. Stop it, young man. Lu Wenshan took a deep breath. As he stood up, the aura of a Yuan King expert was released from his body. Who would have thought that the Shi family would be so useless that they would have to do it themselves in the end? Regardless of whether it was the Spirit Valley sect or the Valley Immortal sect. If they only knew how to refine elixirs, they would be enslaved by some powerful sects sooner or later. They would only become slaves for refining elixirs. The reason why they were able to get to where they were today was because they didn't only need elixir refining geniuses. In terms of cultivation, they were even stricter. A true alchemist would not entrust his life to someone who wanted him to refine elixirs. If that was the case, he might have asked nicely the first 2 times. But if he was forced into a corner, even if he had to die together with you, what could you do? Therefore, the first thing a powerful alchemist needed to have was a strong ability to protect himself. Therefore, these alchemists were also powerful masters at the same time. Li Zongjiu had already killed 4 people. Now that he wanted to kill the 5th person in front of them, it meant that he didn't put the people of Spirit Valley sect in his eyes. The previous situation could be considered as benevolence and forbearance towards Li Zongjiu. But since Li Zongjiu was so insensible, he couldn't blame them. Let's go together and take this brat down. Zhou Kong said in a deep voice. Although that was what he said, he had no confidence in his heart. If they couldn't deal with this guy, then this guy probably wouldn't let them off. In that case, the only way was to kill Li Zongjiu. 2 waves of qi pressured Li Zongjiu at the same time, like 2 gusts of wind. At the same time, there were some tiny flames mixed in with the wind. These flames seemed weak, but they were like stars in the vast night sky, directly smashing towards Li Zongjiu's head. Boom! The sparks of fire rushed in front of Li Zongjiu and instantly became the terrifying flames that were spreading towards him. Rumble! The flame instantly swallowed Li Zongjiu. This was the move that the 2 of them were good at, called Star Sea Prairie Fire. However, he did not expect that this move would make Li Zongjiu fall into the trap so easily and fall for it directly. But this seemed to be a little too simple. The 2 of them looked at each other. At the same time, he merged his elemental energy into his body. This way, he could take some precautions. If Li Zongjiu launched a sneak attack, he would at least have some defensive capabilities. Shi Chuji saw that the alchemists of Spirit Valley sect were each more powerful than the other and couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. There was still a Tiger King Guardian lying on the ground, who was about to die. When Li Zongjiu caught up to him, he must have suffered quite a bit. Just as Shi Chuji was hesitating about whether to save the Tiger King Guardian. Suddenly, the flame in the center shrank rapidly. As it shrank, it finally formed a tightly compressed fireball in Li Zongjiu's hand. Li Zongjiu himself was unharmed. What? How is this possible? Zhou Kong and the others were immediately taken aback. Li Zongjiu actually did not suffer the slightest injury from their joint attack. Where do you think you're going? Li Zongjiu sneered and threw the fireball in his hand at the Tiger King Guardian, who was struggling to climb up. Boom! The sparks from the prairie had instantly burned the Tiger King Protector's body into nothingness. He was a Yuan King elite, but he was burned to ashes without any resistance. Obviously, these people's flames weren't simple. Next, it's time for us to settle our score. Li Zongjiu looked at Zhou Kong, Yang Hui, and the rest. Without any hesitation, his body shook and instantly moved forward. He didn't even say a word and directly attacked. His body approached and punched out. Zhou Kong felt the terrifying pressure coming at him. Immediately, he crushed his own protective jade. Buzz! With a loud bang, a strong light appeared. Li Zongjiu's punch landed on the light screen, but before the force could be transmitted out, it was all reflected back. Fortunately, Li Zongjiu reacted quickly. He instantly retracted his hand and easily neutralized the force. Protective talisman. Can it block a few of my punches? When Li Zongjiu saw the light screen, he naturally knew that these people must have used their protective talismans. Looking at the flashing light, the strength of these people was really not simple. Just the protective talisman that appeared in front of him was carved by at least an Yuan King elite. You're actually using this thing? Yang Hui looked at Zhou Kong. This protective talisman was very important to Zhou Kong. Zhou Kang's father, who had passed away, was also a meritorious member of the Spirit Valley sect for decades. He used his outstanding achievements to exchange for it. Who knew that Zhou Kong would actually use it here? This protective talisman was exchanged for with your father's lifetime of contributions. Lu Wenshan was also surprised that Zhou Kong would do this. You guys go quickly. Zhou Kong suddenly said to the two people behind him. The two of them were stunned. The fight hadn't even started, why were they running away first? This didn't seem right. They didn't know, but could it be that Zhou Kong didn't know? This protective talisman was connected to Zhou Kong himself. Even to a certain extent, Zhou Kong could use the power of this protective talisman to enhance his own strength. Unexpectedly, the protective talisman in his hand had such a situation after withstanding Li Zongjiu's attack. The energy was almost depleted. It showed that the force it could withstand was almost reaching its limit. If that punch had landed on anyone else, it would have been enough to make them spit out their internal organs. Boom! Before Zhou Kong could explain, the protective talisman in front of him had once again withstood the terrifying attack. With a boom, it instantly turned into nothingness. Even the power released by the protective talisman of the Yuan King elite couldn't block Li Zongjiu's punch. You guys go quickly. Zhou Kong growled, then suddenly rushed in front of Li Zongjiu. He instantly released his own power. Boom! Powerful Yuan power, accompanied by the power of flames, surged in the palm of his hand. The flames seemed to form a fiery red vine, directly binding Li Zongjiu. Unfortunately, Li Zongjiu's body had already reached the point where it was impervious to fire and water. He could easily suppress these forces. Zhou Kong rushed out to block Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu didn't hold back and punched Zhou Kang's neck. In an instant, Zhou Kang's neck was smashed into pieces. Crack! Chapter 592. Zhou Kang's body sat upright on the ground, his head tilted upwards as if he had no bones, as if he was staring at Yang Hui and the rest. Lu Wenshan and Yang Hui saw this. They couldn't believe that Zhou Kong was killed by Li Zongjiu. His heart began to tremble. They never thought that Li Zongjiu would dare to kill someone from Spirit Valley sect. You actually dared to kill someone from Spirit Valley sect. Lu Wenshan was furious as he pointed at Li Zongjiu and roared. Although he was furious, Lu Wenshan knew that if he were to fight with Li Zongjiu today, he would be at a disadvantage. Therefore, he had to leave this place first. Just you wait. Lu Wenshan patted Yang Hui and said in a deep voice. Since I can't beat you now, I'll go back and call for others to beat you up. If one doesn't work, I'll call for two. If two doesn't work, I'll call for three. Even if he used a high-grade 5 elixir pill to issue a bounty, he must take Li Zongjiu's head. Although the two of them together couldn't beat Li Zongjiu, if they wanted to leave, with Li Zongjiu's ability, it would be impossible to stop them. Unfortunately, they were wrong. Although Yang Hui was a glutton and lazy person, he would never back down when something happened. When he saw that Li Zongjiu was still chasing after him, he immediately pushed Lu Wenshan away. Boss, you go first. What are you doing? Yang Hui's action shocked Lu Wenshan. What was Yang Hui doing now? Why didn't he leave together? When Lu Wenshan was pushed away, Li Zongjiu had already arrived in front of Yang Hui. Yang Hui let out a low roar as his body began to burn with raging flames. The terrifying flames burned on Yang Hui's body, turning him into a flaming man. Kid, you can't kill someone from Spirit Valley's sect just because you want to. Yang Hui roared as Li Zongjiu pounced on him. Following Yang Hui's movements, the flames surged towards Li Zongjiu with a roar. In Li Zongjiu's palm, flames appeared and the obsidian fire jumped into Yang Hui's body. Buzz! Boom! The flames on Yang Hui's body was immediately suppressed by the obsidian fire. When the flames entered his body, he immediately felt the power of the obsidian fire. This is the obsidian fire. This is the legendary obsidian fire. I didn't die in vain, I didn't die in vain. Yang Hui's body was burned to ashes by Zongjiu's obsidian fire's flames. During the process, he must have endured the pain. However, Yang Hui's final shout made it clear that he was a person who loved fire. If you had told me earlier, I would have let you burn for a while longer. Li Zongjiu blew a breath, and the ashes left behind by Yang Hui were naturally blown away by the wind. The battle scene wasn't magnificent at all. There weren't even any superfluous movements because Li Zongjiu's battle experience was too rich. Even the mysterious primitive emperor of Qingyuan Manor couldn't gain any advantage from Li Zongjiu, not to mention the people below. With more than 3,000 years of combat experience, wouldn't it be easy for these people to kill him as they wished? Therefore, Li Zongjiu killing these people was like playing a game. As for the person who wanted to escape, he couldn't escape just because he wanted to. Shi Chuji looked at Li Zongjiu. None of the people killed by Li Zongjiu were left behind. The only thing left was a pair of chopped hands. Apart from that, the rest of the people were all burned to ashes. When Li Zongjiu's gaze landed on her, Shi Chuji felt a sense of panic in her heart. Was he really just a student? How did this person resemble this student at all? He couldn't tell at all. What kind of school could teach a student with such ability? Stay here and don't run around. Li Zongjiu pointed at Shi Chuji and said. Then, he turned around and chased after Lu Wenshan. Did he think that he would be safe after escaping from the Shi family? Li Zongjiu said that he was going to kill people, so he would definitely kill them. Those who wanted to make a living had to be trustworthy. Li Zongjiu's figure instantly left. Just a moment ago, the hall was filled with distinguished guests. But now, it was empty in the blink of an eye. There was a lot of dust on the ground. Just looking at it made one's skin tingle. As for Shi Shu, who had persuaded Li Zongjiu to hand over the items, he was stunned. Shi Shu, who had said that he would protect Li Zongjiu in the Shi family, was also standing there in a daze. In the 5 minutes just now, Li Zongjiu had been in a daze. What had happened in the Shi family's hall? If he wasn't wrong, there were already 3 elders in the Shi family who had died. There was also Demon Staff Nan He, whose head had been blown up. If he wasn't wrong, this guy was a Yuan King elite. There was also that Guardian Tiger King. No one knew where he came from, but he was also killed by Li Zongjiu. The most shocking thing was that Li Zongjiu had killed 2 elders of the Spirit Valley sect. If he wasn't wrong, Li Zongjiu should be chasing after the remaining elder. Fuck, Shi Shu was sweating profusely. He couldn't believe his eyes. After Li Zongjiu left, he felt a chill down his spine. He looked at Shi Chuji, who was sitting in front of him. It seemed that he was no longer able to sit still in his seat. He wanted to get up and leave, but he didn't know what would happen if he left. Li Zongjiu didn't seem like a person who couldn't do what he said. What's wrong? What happened? Shi Tairan leisurely rushed over and saw Shi Shu standing there like a fool. Although Shi Tairan's status had been greatly impacted recently, his influence was still there. He could summon many loyal elders with a wave of his hand. These elders could naturally tell who could lead the family to prosperity and who was just a muddle-headed person who only knew how to enjoy power. Although they were old, their eyes weren't blind. Father, here, Shi Shu was in a daze when he saw Shi Tairan. Shi Shu was still using his brain to sort out the situation just now. Patriarch, you came at the right time. Patriarch, I don't want to be the patriarch anymore. You take over. Brother, I was wrong. I deserve to die. Elders, I officially resign from the patriarch position. You can do as you see fit. Whoever wants to be the patriarch can do it. After saying that, Shi Chuji ran out of the hall in a panic. Chapter 593. Shi Tairan had only heard the commotion and heard that Shi Shu had brought a young man into the guest hall. Thus, he guessed that Shi Shu might be in danger. In the eyes of those from Spirit Valley sect, the lives of the Shi family members were not worth their attention. Naturally, they would kill if they wanted to. Shi Tairan saw that Shi Chuji, who seemed to have lost his soul, was running away. Looking at Shi Shu's appearance, he wondered if these people had seen a ghost. What the hell is going on? Shi Tairan roared. Immediately, like a clap of thunder, it woke Shi Shu up from his trance. Father, you're here. Not good, Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu went after the elder of Spirit Valley sect. After Shi Shu woke up, he immediately reported to his father. What? After hearing this, Shi Tairan sucked in a breath of cold air. Are you sure you didn't say that he went after the elder of Spirit Valley sect? Wasn't he chasing after Li Zongjiu with the elder of Spirit Valley sect? Hearing this, Shi Tairan instinctively thought that Shi Shu had lost his mind. However, an elder also walked to the front and checked the headless corpse. Patriarch, this person is Demon Staff Nan He. After checking the corpse's identity, everyone was shocked. No one would have thought that Demon Staff Nan He would die tragically in the guest hall of the Shi family today. Looking at it, he was really unlucky. Regarding the fate of Demon Staff Nan He, everyone was shocked. After all, a person like Nan He, who had been in the Jianghu for so many years, to be able to survive until now, he must have some unique skills. However, it seemed like he had fallen here. There was no other way, after all, a dead person could not be revived. What the hell happened here? Shi Tairan asked. From the time Li Zongjiu entered the Shi family, it had not been more than 10 minutes. For such a situation to occur, it was something that Shi Tairan did not expect. In these short 10 minutes, it was impossible for them to overturn the heavens. Li Zongjiu just killed everyone, including 3 elders, 2 elders from Spirit Valley sect, and a protector from Qing Yuan Villa. Now, he's going to kill Elder Lu Wenshan. Shi Shu's words were like a big stick that woke Shi Tairan up. Looking at the large hole in the wall in front of them, if it weren't for the 18 white jade pillars supporting it, the roof would probably have collapsed. Bad news. Shi Tairan slapped his thigh. If what Shi Shu said was true, then Li Zongjiu was in big trouble. Although Li Zongjiu's strength was tyrannical and it didn't matter if he killed all these people. However, now that Li Zongjiu had killed the two elders of Spirit Valley sect, he actually continued to pursue Lu Wenshan. One could imagine what kind of outcome he would face. Spirit Valley sect would definitely be furious. In their anger, they would also pursue the cause of this matter. No matter what, the Shi family would not be able to escape this calamity. Because these people died in their Shi family. Just as Shi Tairan and the rest were in a state of shock, Li Zongjiu descended from the sky with a loud bang, accompanied by a figure. He landed in front of them. In his hand was a person who was about to die. It was Lu Wenshan, who had just escaped and was beaten up. He casually threw Lu Wenshan and him to the ground. The reason why Li Zongjiu did not immediately deal with Lu Wenshan was not because he was afraid of this Spirit Valley sect. He had painstakingly killed so many people. His hands were stained with blood. If he directly killed everyone, then wouldn't he, Li Zongjiu, have killed so many people for nothing? Who would pay for the cost of killing so many people? Naturally, he would earn it back from Lu Wenshan. Li Zongjiu had already made up his mind. He would definitely not do something that would cause him to lose money. The value of Lu Wenshan's head would not be small. How did that guy disappear just now? Li Zongjiu saw that in the guest hall, Shi Chuji's figure had already disappeared. Looking at Shi Tairan and the others in front of him, could it be that these people were the Shi family's reinforcements? Shi Shu saw that Li Zongjiu's eyes seemed to be changing, so he hurriedly stepped forward and said. Li Zongjiu, this is my father. The person who escaped just now has already resigned from the position of the Shi family's patriarch. My father is now the patriarch of the Shi family. You guys are really diligent in changing patriarchs. Li Zongjiu could not help but say. It was really convenient to change the patriarch. It was really strange that they could change the patriarch just like that. However, this did not affect Li Zongjiu's actions. Originally, I wanted to kill that kid. After all, I have to keep my word. But now that your father is the patriarch, I will give you face. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Shi Shu was relieved. If this Li Zongjiu did not care and directly went on a killing spree, then even Shi Shu, Shi Tairan, and the others would not be able to stop him. Only after seeing Li Zongjiu's strength could they truly understand how terrifying Li Zongjiu was. One of the elders snorted. Obviously, he was not convinced. Our Shi family is so big, do we need a kid like you to give us face? However, these words could not be said out loud. After all, the death of the demon staff Nan he was a real thing. It was impossible for this guy to accidentally fall down and smash his own head like he did, right? Therefore, before figuring out how the demon staff Nan he died, they did not dare to be too arrogant. However, if your Shi family continues to cooperate with Qingyuan Manor in the future, don't blame me. Qingyuan Manor will definitely die. You guys better be prepared. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Hearing Li Zongjiu mention the fate of Qingyuan Manor so casually, Shi Tairan was slightly shocked. Everyone knew the background of Qingyuan Manor very well. It was not something that could be ignored just because they killed a person like Nan He. If they really wanted to become enemies with Qingyuan Manor, they still needed to make a lot of preparations. Qingyuan Manor is plotting against us. Naturally, we will distance ourselves from them. However, how do you intend to deal with Elder Lu of Spirit Valley sect? Lu Wenshan was held in Li Zongjiu's hand. He could not open his eyes and seemed to be in a semi-conscious state. When he heard someone call his name, he struggled for a while. Then, he continued to fall. This is my money tree. You guys have a carriage here, right? Lend me one. Li Zongjiu smiled. Money tree. Could it be that Li Zongjiu wanted to earn money from Lu Wenshan? Little brother, please listen to me. The Spirit Valley sect is not as simple as you think. Rumor has it that there are more than 100 Yuan King-level powerhouses in the Spirit Valley sect. It is said that the sect master of Spirit Valley sect is an primitive emperor. He is not someone we can casually provoke. Even if it is our Shi family, if Spirit Valley sect wants to take action, our Shi family will not be able to last for more than a few days. You have to think carefully. Shi Tairan advised sincerely. One wrong step would leave behind an eternal regret. If Li Zongjiu really insisted on becoming enemies with these people, the outcome could already be foreseen. Chapter 594. Hearing Shi Tairan's words, Li Zongjiu expressed his helplessness. It's not that I want to be their enemy, it's just that they won't let me go. Li Zongjiu shook his head. If they are willing to pay the ransom, then I'm willing to let this matter go. I'm a peace-loving person. With that, Li Zongjiu walked out of the guest hall. Shi Shu ordered someone to prepare a carriage for them. Otherwise, Li Zongjiu would probably drag Lu Wenshan all the way out. What a joke, if that were to happen, then the Shi family would become famous. A dignified elder from Spirit Valley sect was now being carried out by someone. If not, the Shi family's wings would have hardened, and they might even become the leader of the four great families. However, the consequences of such a situation were not something the Shi family could bear. The most direct consequence was that they would be targeted by the Spirit Valley sect and beaten up. In the end, the Shi family would be annihilated. Although Li Zongjiu had left the Shi family, he had left such a mess for Shi Tairan to clean up. No one would have thought that Shi Chuji would escape just like that. The one who least expected such a thing to happen was Shi Baoshan. Even Shi Baoshan had just woken up from his sleep. He immediately received a notice from the elder courtyard, saying that Shi Chuji had resigned from his position as the family head. From the position of young family head, Shi Baoshan had reverted back to the position of a passerby. It was hard to believe. Shi Baoshan, who was unable to accept it, felt as though he was about to break down. Wearing his pajamas, he went to look for his father. From his father, he found out that the person who had ruined his life was none other than Li Zongjiu, who should have been cut into pieces. Li Zongjiu again, this Li Zongjiu again, why do you have to go against me? Why do you have to go against me? Shi Baoshan roared at the sky and clenched his fists, but he had nowhere to vent his anger. He had nowhere to release all the energy in his body. Obviously, Shi Baoshan was overthinking things. From the beginning to the end, Li Zongjiu had never heard of Shi Baoshan's name. He had never known that there was someone who held such a great grudge against him and was completely helpless against him. Therefore, Shi Baoshan's anger and unwillingness, as well as his endless resentment, had nowhere to vent. He forcefully suppressed it in his heart. On the other hand, Li Zongjiu brought Lu Wenshan back to Bailu Manor. The Howling Moon Wolf King had already smelled Li Zongjiu's scent and even opened the door to welcome him. Over the past few days, the Howling Moon Wolf King had been staying in the White Deer Manor, eating, drinking, and cultivating all day long. Even though his cultivation base hadn't grown much in the past 2 months, his body had grown a size larger. "Brat, you've grown a lady head these days." Li Zongjiu patted the Howling Moon Wolf King's head. "Take the sack out of the carriage." Shi Shu had prepared meticulously. He had prepared the carriage and the sack. Li Zongjiu said. The Howling Moon Wolf King's nose twitched. "That's not food. If you eat that sack, I'll kill you." Li Zongjiu pointed at the Howling Moon Wolf King and said. The Howling Moon Wolf King looked extremely wronged. "I only smelled it, why did I want to eat it?" "Young master, you're back. Why didn't you inform me in advance?" Hearing the commotion outside, Yinghu ran out. Li Zongjiu looked over and saw Yinghu wearing a white apron and a chef's hat. He was holding a bunch of pepper in his left hand and a big spoon bigger than his face in his right hand. "Damn, did you change your profession? Are you going to cook someone?" Li Zongjiu said. Inghu was the signature assassin of the Celestial Rain Inn. Now that he had retired, he ended up cooking in the courtyard of a farmer's house. Or was it the trend to kill people and cook them? Young master, don't say that. I bought a fish 2 days ago and kept it in the pond for a few days. I was afraid that it would catch a cold, so I heated it up in the pot. Inghu said embarrassedly. In fact, the real situation was like this. 2 days ago, Inghu bought a fish home and wanted to try the taste of fishing. Who knew that he couldn't catch the fish in the small pond in his courtyard? For 2 whole days, the fish didn't take the bait. So today, Inghu scooped up the fish and cooked it. Halfway through, he saw the young master coming back. Only then did he seem to be caught off guard. All right, then sit tight and bring it over to taste later. Li Zongjiu said. During this period of time, he needed to comprehend the Helprajna art. Therefore, Li Zongjiu would set up some yuan rune arrays in the courtyard in a while. However, Li Zongjiu still had to research how to set it up. After all, if he used the strength of his previous life to set up a yuan rune array, it would naturally be extremely simple. However, Li Zongjiu didn't know how much effort he had to expend just to recall some of the yuan rune arrays that he knew. He also had to slowly recall some of his memories regarding yuan rune arrays. What's that in the Howling Moon Wolf King's mouth? A local specialty? Inghu said. An elder of some Spirit Valley sect. I caught him as a hostage. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. He ordered the Howling Moon Wolf King to bring the man to the stable in the backyard. The red mane horse from before was now white and plump after being raised. He didn't need to exercise too much. When the sun came out, he would look at the sun. When it was dark, he would sleep. His life was too comfortable. Oh, okay. Then I'll continue cooking. Inghu nodded. He had never heard of the Spirit Valley sect. It shouldn't be a big sect, so he didn't put it in his heart. The Egret Manor was a peaceful scene. But the outside world was in an uproar because of the Shi family. What else could it be? Li Zongjiu killed his way into the Shi family alone. He seriously injured the Shi family patriarch, killed 3 Shi family elders, and killed the 2 elders of the Spirit Valley sect. He even captured Elder Lu Wenshan of the Spirit Valley sect. After robbing a horse carriage from the Shi family, they swaggered away. Such an arrogant move represented an extremely powerful fighting strength. How many people in the world could do such a thing? It was too terrifying. Chapter 595. Purple Pill Institute. South Heaven Pill King originally wanted to visit some old acquaintances in Purple Pill Institute, then meet with the elders of Spirit Valley sect. But who knew that such a big thing would happen so early in the morning? South Heaven Pill King, who had just received the news, was also very shocked. Killing the 2 elders of Spirit Valley sect and capturing Elder Lu Wenshan alive. How much courage and background did he have to do something like this? That Li Zongjiu must be instigated by someone behind him to instigate a huge disaster. Otherwise, no matter how precious the Cosmos 9 revolving needles are, it is still far from being able to reach the point where the lives of these 2 elders would be sacrificed. Could this Li Zongjiu be a madman? Nye Tianhong followed beside South Heaven Pill King. The person sitting opposite South Heaven Pill King was the Vice Dean of Purple Pill Institute, Jing Yuan. Nye Tianhong's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he heard the news. In the past, he could be considered to have fought with this Li Zongjiu. He even had a big conflict with this Li Zongjiu. Regarding this damn Li Zongjiu, Nye Tianhong's heart was naturally incomparably angry, but there was nothing he could do. Could it be that he really told what Li Zongjiu said to South Heaven Pill King? If such a ridiculous rumor was said by him, South Heaven Pill King would definitely be disappointed. And if he wanted to get back his face, he could only rely on his own strength. Originally, Nye Tianhong could be said to have been diligent in these days. During the period when Meng Yu disappeared, Nie Tianhong could be said to have advanced by leaps and bounds. He even had a feeling of courage after knowing shame. After flying together, his confidence gradually increased, and he was already prepared to find Li Zongjiu for revenge after a period of time. But he did not expect to suddenly receive such a piece of news today. Moreover, this news was in front of his master and the vice dean. Such a thing could not be false, so Nie Tianhong could be said to be stunned. What kind of operation was this? Killed 2 elders of Spirit Valley sect. One had to know that the elders of the Spirit Valley sect were all Yuan monarchs and their alchemy skills were at least grade 5 intermediate or above. Only then would he be qualified to become an elder. The only reason Lu Wenshan didn't die was probably because Lu Wenshan's value was much higher than the other 2 elders. Because Lu Wenshan himself was an alchemist who was about to break through to the 6th grade. It was even imminent. With this last step, he could easily cross this threshold and completely become a real 6th grade alchemist. At that time, Lu Wenshan's value would increase 10-fold, or even 100-fold. Perhaps Li Zongjiu saw the value of Lu Wenshan and wanted to negotiate with the people of Spirit Valley sect. Looks like I'll have to go there personally and meet this Li Zongjiu. Nantian Pil King stood up and said. As the honorary elder of the Spirit Valley sect, how could he stay out of this so easily? Moreover, he was here to resolve this matter. Now that several major factions had gathered in the Holy Flame Royal City, the battle today had already caused their Spirit Valley sect to lose face. If Lu Wenshan was killed as well, they would be in deep trouble. In my opinion, this kid is cruel and his mental state is extremely unstable. It's better for me to accompany you personally. Jing Yuan said in a deep voice. When Nantian Pil King was in the academy, he was a student under him. Later on, Nantian Pil King became an elixir king and Jing Yuan became the vice dean. However, as time flew, it was very rare for them to still have the friendship of today. Vice dean, don't worry. I, Nantian, have traveled extensively these years and seen all kinds of scenes. Even if a perverted murderer is in front of me, he can't do anything to me. Nantian Pil King stood up and said. As expected of an elixir king, the domineering aura that he released was not something an ordinary person could compare with. Over these years, he had seen all kinds of scenes, how could he admit defeat in such a situation? Master, I'll go with you. Nie Tianhong hurriedly said. He couldn't wait to see Li Zongjiu kneel in front of his master and beg for mercy. In Nie Tianhong's heart, his master was an invincible existence, whether it was in terms of alchemy or cultivation of elemental energy. If that wasn't the case, the people from Spirit Valley sect wouldn't have traveled tens of thousands of miles just to get South Heaven Pil King to join them. It could be said that they were sincere. However, in the end, Nantian Pil King politely declined. In the end, he reluctantly agreed to become an honorary elder. Of course, there were different versions of this matter. Alright, you can come with me to see it. Nantian Pil King nodded and said. Jing Yuan saw that Nantian Pil King wanted to solve this matter by himself and did not want to involve the Purple Pill Institute, so he did not continue to pursue this matter. Instead, he called a mentor to lead the way for Nantian Pil King. Given Pill Monarch South Heaven's identity, it would be a great honor for an ordinary pill alchemist to be able to speak to him. Obviously, this opportunity was very rare. However, Jing Principal gave this opportunity to an unexpected person. Zhang Kuang. Zhang Kuang was considered as a young talent among the mentors. Zhang Kuang himself was also extremely talented. Although he had not been delaying his cultivation because of the academy's matters, his foundation was still there. Due to his overly strict teaching style, he had received many complaints. However, it did not matter. As long as Zhang Kuang could cultivate outstanding students for the academy, it was enough for him. However, Zhang Kuang's arrogant personality was like a dog with its tail between its legs in front of Nantian Pil King. He could only nod and bow. He did not even dare to show any disrespect on his face. "I'll let Mentor Zhang Quan lead the way for you. If there's anything, Zhang Quan can handle it. In King City, Mentor Zhang Quan can handle some things," Jing Yuan said. Let's go. Take me to Li Zhongjiu's residence." Nantian Pil King naturally knew what Vice Principal Jing Yuan meant, so he did not refuse. Zhang Quan was overjoyed after hearing this. "Senior Pil King, this way please. The carriage is ready." Zhang Quan was one of the few people in the Purple Pill Institute who had a deep hatred for Li Zhongjiu. Therefore, he was always thinking about taking Li Zhongjiu's life. Unfortunately, Zhang Quan did not have the ability to do so. Therefore, he could only hope for a miracle. Now, a miracle had happened. Li Zhongjiu had finally provoked someone he couldn't afford to provoke. For Zhang Quan, what could be better than this? Naturally, he could only clap his hands and cheer. Therefore, he eagerly led Nantian Pil King to Li Zhongjiu's residence. Chapter 596. White Deer Manor. After Li Zhongjiu tasted the fish soup served by Shadow Fox, he almost broke Shadow Fox's leg. Even if it was a poison personally brewed by Li Zhongjiu, it would not taste so bad. After that, Li Zhongjiu tried to carve the foundation of a Yuan inscription array on a small stone. In order to set up the Yuan inscription array, he needed an extremely important item, which was primordial stones. Currently, Li Zhongjiu only had a few mid-grade primordial stones in his possession. As for the rest, he had used them all up the last time he broke through. Therefore, the primordial stones in his possession were not enough to set up the Yuan inscription array. For now, it is not difficult to set up a small Yuan inscription array. However, to set up the Yuan inscription array effectively, it needs at least 20 mid-grade primordial stones. Li Zhongjiu said with a frown. "If I want to buy spirit stones on the market, I don't know how much money I have to spend. Moreover, it is definitely not worth it." However, it was not a bad idea to leave this matter to Song Jieyu or to find Qi Yanran of the Qi clan. After all, the Qi clan was in this field. The Qi clan controlled 2 primordial stone mines. Although the amount of primordial stones mined was not a lot, at least they could obtain the mining rights of primordial stones. This showed that they had a certain level of strength. "Young master, I just made some adjustments to the fish soup. Do you want to try it?" "Fish soup?" Shadow Fox asked Li Zhongjiu as he approached him. This shameless bastard actually dared to send his extremely disgusting food over. "Scram!" Li Zhongjiu shouted. "Okay." Inghu responded immediately and quickly ran away, disappearing from sight. "Brother Wolf King, where did you get the doll in your mouth?" Li Zhongjiu turned his head and saw the Howling Moon Wolf King lying on the ground. Out of boredom, it was actually biting on a doll that it had picked up from somewhere. "Your boss is a wolf. Don't you have any dignity? You're not a fucking dog. How dare you play with this doll?" Who would have thought that the Howling Moon Wolf King would arrogantly walk to a corner with the doll in its mouth and continue tearing it apart? It seemed to be saying, "You're interfering with me even though I'm playing with a doll. Do you have any justice left?" Li Zhongjiu was so angry that he wanted to jump up and kick this shameless guy to death. After doing such a shameful thing, he still dared to be so arrogant. Suddenly, the Howling Moon Wolf King stopped its actions and lifted its head to look in the direction of the door. There was a fierce glint in its eyes. Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door. "He's here." Shadow Fox ran over from afar, holding a bowl in his hand. Inside the bowl was a bowl of freshly cooked fish soup. This soup looked even more potent than the poison, yet he dared to hold it in his hand. Smelling it from afar, one could tell that something was wrong. Moreover, these alchemists had very sensitive noses. "What's that smell?" Outside the door, Nantian Pil King and the others frowned. They didn't know where this smell came from. Could it be that Li Zhongjiu was refining some kind of poison? Shadow Fox, who opened the door, frowned and asked when he saw the three strangers. "Who are you?" "My master, Nantian Pill King, asked your master to come and greet us." Nye Tianhong said without any trace of politeness. Behind him was his teacher, Zhang Kuang, and his master, Nantian Pill King. Naturally, they didn't need to say anything. Therefore, Nye Tianhong played the role of opening the door. They didn't come with good intentions. Shadow Fox's many years of experience told him that these people didn't come with simple intentions. Since they were so arrogant, it was obvious that they came here to cause trouble. They definitely didn't come here to eat. "Our young master doesn't want to see any guests." After saying that, Shadow Fox slammed the door shut with a bang. Nantian Pill King and the others looked at each other. They didn't expect this little servant to be so bold as to directly shut the three of them outside the door. Any one of the three people was someone that this little servant couldn't afford to offend. It seems that Li Zhongjiu is extremely arrogant. Even his servant is so arrogant. Zhang Kuang's face was filled with indignation. He looked at Nantian Pill King and said, "Senior Pill King, don't worry. I'll go and capture that servant and bring him to you. I'll make him kowtow and apologize to you." Immediately, Zhang Kuang sneered, then leaped up toward the sky. He directly flew over the wall and landed in the manor. Just as Zhang Kuang's body landed on the ground, he saw a lightning-fast black shadow rushing toward him and biting him to the ground. Its teeth were as sharp as steel, and Zhang Kuang's body was pinned to the ground in an instant. "Ouch, ouch, ouch. Spare me, spare me, spare me," Zhang Kuang hurriedly roared. In just a moment, there were already several bloody holes on his body. The howling moon wolf casually swung its mouth and threw Zhang Kuang to the ground. With a bang, Zhang Kuang fell in front of Shadow Fox and Li Zhongjiu. His entire body was covered in blood and wounds, and his face was still filled with a look of unsatisfied terror. "You're quite bold. How dare you trespass into the White Deer Manor? Little wolf, bite his head off," Shadow Fox directly commanded. If Li Zhongjiu had to do something like this, then there was no need for him to stay here. He, Shadow Fox, was here to guard Li Zhongjiu's house. No one could easily barge in. "Awoo!" The howling moon wolf opened its mouth and was about to bite down. However, at this moment, a loud bang came from the entrance. The door was directly knocked open. Then, the Southern Heaven Elixir King and Nye Tianhong appeared at the entrance. Coincidentally, they saw the Howling Moon Wolf King's mouth devouring Zhang Kuang's head. It was only a step away from biting it off. Who would have thought that such a scene of a wild beast eating a human would appear in the huge sacred flame royal city? Anyone who witnessed this scene would be extremely shocked. The Southern Heaven Elixir King was fine. He had seen such scenes many times. However, when Nye Tianhong saw this scene, he instantly felt a trace of coldness coming from his neck. "Stop!" The Southern Heaven Elixir King shouted angrily. No matter what, Zhang Kuang was someone he brought here. If this person from the Purple Pill Institute died in front of him, the Southern Heaven Elixir King, how could he, a dignified Elixir King, explain himself when he returned? Immediately, a tyrannical Yuan power chi directly blasted towards the Howling Moon Wolf. Within this origin energy, there should also be a terrifying flame energy hidden within. Chapter 597. As expected of Pill King Nantian, his attack was so powerful that it could swallow mountains and rivers. The flame hidden within the Yuan energy also quickly arrived in front of the Howling Moon Wolf King. Unfortunately, the South Heaven Pill King had underestimated the Howling Moon Wolf King. Facing the flame hidden in the Yuan Qi, the Howling Moon Wolf King only raised his hand and crushed it instantly. Boom! Zhang Kuang was flung to the side. His body was covered in wounds, and he couldn't be arrogant anymore. Roar! The howling moon wolf king roared furiously in a low voice. His eyes, which seemed to be spitting flames, stared straight ahead. At this moment, Ing Hu, who was standing at the side, finally put down the bowl in his hand. He stared at the two people in front of him fiercely. Nye Tianhong looked at the old servant, and a trace of shock gradually rose in his heart. When he looked at this old man earlier, he thought that he was just an ordinary evil slave. But now, it seemed that the old slave's strength wasn't simple. He had hidden his strength so well. He had to learn from him. Pil King Nantian looked at the man and the wolf in front of him and felt that they were in a tricky situation. Zhang Quan regained his senses and wanted to crawl out of this place. But at this moment, a person stepped on his back. Zhang Quan had spent a lot of effort to gather his strength. But now, he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with despair. He reached out his hand towards Pil King Nantian as if he wanted to ask for help. But Pil King Nantian didn't do anything. He just looked at the person who stepped on Zhang Quan. Li Zongjiu. Nye Tianhong clenched his fist when he saw Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu's eyes lit up when he saw Nye Tianhong. Oh, it's you. Li Zongjiu naturally remembered Nye Tianhong. It wasn't because of his appearance, but because of Nye Tianhong's original spirit. It was something that Li Zongjiu couldn't have more of. Dark Moon Fox. It was really hard to find such an elemental spirit with both moon and fire attributes. One could say that it was very much to the Howling Moon Wolf King's liking. At the same time, the Howling Moon Wolf King could clearly sense an extremely amiable aura from Nye Tianhong's body. It was this aura that was absolutely delicious for the Howling Moon Wolf King. Immediately, the Howling Moon Wolf King looked at Nye Tianhong with a covetous gaze. Nye Tianhong couldn't help but have a strange feeling in his heart. What did this mean? Why did it feel so strange? Li Zongjiu, do you still remember me? Today, my master is here. You can't be so impudent. Nye Tianhong shouted in a deep voice. He looked at Li Zongjiu with a hint of delight, as if he was about to see Li Zongjiu being chopped into pieces. Nantian Elixir King was personally involved, how could it be so simple? Even if Li Zongjiu had 10 lives, he would still be no match for Nantian Elixir King. Your master. Now that I think about it, you two do look a little alike. Is he really your father? I was just casually talking about him last time. Li Zongjiu looked at Nantian Elixir King's serious face and said. Nantian Elixir King heard Li Zongjiu's words and a cold light flashed across his eyes. This brat dared to slander his reputation in front of everyone. You must be Li Zongjiu. However, he wasn't in a hurry to settle this score. He should bring Elder Lu Wenshan out first. Since Nantian Elixir King didn't kill Elder Lu Wenshan on the spot, he must have other plans. Either he was afraid, or he had conditions. Now that he saw the arrogant Li Zongjiu with his own eyes, he wouldn't be afraid. Most likely, Li Zongjiu wanted to make some conditions. It's me. Li Zongjiu said. Today, I'm here to, hey, wait a moment. Don't worry. Li Zongjiu raised his hand to interrupt Nantian Elixir King's words and walked straight to the door that was kicked open by the two people. There was no restriction on the door. Anyone who knew a little about Yuanli could kick the door open easily. TSK, TSK, TSK. This is a 5-clawed golden dragon lock that I specially ordered from the Imperial Locksmith. Do you know how much money I spent and how many favors I used to get it? Now, it's ruined by the two of you. Tell me, how much money do you want to pay? Li Zongjiu said while holding a very ordinary lock in his hand. This kind of lock would only cost 2 silver coins on the streets. Even Ing Hu was dumbfounded when he heard Li Zongjiu's words. Li Zongjiu's bragging was a little too much. Don't you know how much this lock is worth? Li Zhongjiu shook his head. However, Yinghu really appreciated Li Zhongjiu's way of doing things. Anyway, this thing was already broken. As for how much money they were going to charge, it was up to them to decide. Since that was the case, there was no problem at all. What else could he do? He couldn't refuse to pay. Not to mention this 5-clawed golden dragon lock, even if you have a 7-clawed golden dragon lock or a 100-clawed golden dragon lock, I'll pay you according to the price. Just tell me how much money you want. Today, I'm not going to beat around the bush with you. Return Elder Lu Wenshan to me and we can talk about the rest. Nantian Elixir King said while clasping his hands behind his back. There was a hint of arrogance in his voice. It was as if he had already said what he wanted. Even if he didn't want to, he had to accept it. No problem. Old fox, how much did it cost to make this lock? Li Zhongjiu asked. Yinghu was stunned when he heard that. Why did it come back to him in the end? This lock cost 100, Yinghu wanted to say 1 million gold yuan. That was already the highest level of extortion. Such a simple lock actually cost 1 million gold yuan. No matter what, the price was not bad. He would definitely make a profit. Of course, the premise was that the other party could afford it. 10 billion purple yuan. You prodigal son. You want 10 billion purple yuan for a custom-made lock. Look at you. Li Zhongjiu said while pointing at Yinghu as if he expected better from Yinghu. As for Shadowfox, he just stood there in a daze, staring at Li Zhongjiu's performance. What the fuck? This is too fucking awesome. Yinghu never dared to believe that his young master had reached such a high level. He casually extorted 10 billion purple yuan for a broken lock. Did he think that other people's money came from the wind? Did he think that other people's brains were soaked in water? Chapter 598. Even Nantian Pil King and Nye Tianhong were dumbfounded. How could Li Zhongjiu say something like that? How could there be such a shameless person in the world? Nantian Pil King wanted to punch Li Zhongjiu in the face. However, on the surface, he was still calm and collected. That brat was unscrupulous and spoke without thinking. However, he was a mature member of society. He would never have such a problem. If you want to mess around, that's your business. I won't mess around. Money is easy. I have 10 fifth-grade elixirs here. Although they might not be worth tens of billions of purple yuan, you can treat it as a down payment. What do you think? Nantian Pil King said with a smile, and then took out a porcelain bottle. This could be regarded as a stepping stone. First, he had to knock on Li Zhongjiu's tightly shut door. Otherwise, Li Zhongjiu would not cooperate with him. Judging from the stance of the Wolf King, it wouldn't be an easy task to take down Li Zhongjiu here. Although Li Zhongjiu was crazy, it wasn't completely without discussion. If these things could be discussed between each other, then naturally, everything would be easy to talk about. Li Zhongjiu stretched out his hand and took the bottle. Judging from the fragrance of the bottle, Li Zhongjiu didn't even need to open it to know that it was a bottle of level 5 low-grade medicinal pills. This kind of elixir was basically trash to Li Zhongjiu. Nowadays, he rarely ate these elixirs to cultivate. He casually tossed the elixir to Yinghu who was beside him. Old man, you are quite sensible. Li Zhongjiu said indifferently. Then, he threw the lock in his hand to Nye Tianhong. Keep this lock well. This thing is more valuable than your life. Naturally, Nye Tianhong's face was filled with displeasure. Could it be that I, Nye Tianhong, am not worth as much as this lock? Aren't you underestimating me too much? When Yinghu received the bottle of elixir pills, he couldn't believe that Li Zhongjiu would throw such a precious elixir pill to him. It should be known that he was currently at a critical juncture in his cultivation. All he needed was the accumulation of this time before he could make a breakthrough. Now that Li Zongjio had directly given him the grade 5 medicinal pill, he would definitely be able to make a breakthrough within this month. He didn't expect that Li Zongjio would be so generous. Ying Hu was very touched, but more than that, he was shocked. He was shocked that Li Zongjio could cheat 10 5th grade elixirs with a lock. Who did that old man say he was? What Dan? That's right, Nantian Pill King. When Ying Hu thought carefully, he suddenly remembered that the middle-aged man in front of him was the legendary Nantian Elixir King. The man who almost dominated the alchemy world in the southwest. It was said that the Nantian Elixir King's alchemy skills were favored by some primitive emperors. They were even willing to be good friends with the Nantian Elixir King. With such an identity, the Nantian Elixir King could do whatever he wanted in the Sacred Flame Royal City. It was no wonder that this ordinary-looking middle-aged man casually gave 10 5th grade elixirs. He was too generous. However, Ying Hu was very worried when he knew that his young master was the enemy of the Nantian Elixir King. If he really angered the Nantian Elixir King, he might be in great danger. By the way, why are you looking for me? Is it to compensate for my lock? Li Zongjio asked. The Nantian Elixir King smiled after hearing this. Sure enough, this was the power of knocking on the door. A light knock was enough to wake Li Zongjio up. If Li Zongjio didn't say anything, he would feel embarrassed. We heard that Elder Lu Wenshan is in your hands. If you need anything, just say the word. You just need to let me bring Elder Lu Wenshan back. The Nantian Elixir King said. You guys are really well informed. I just caught him a few minutes ago, and you guys are already at my door. Li Zongjio couldn't help but sigh. It was good to have power and influence. He just needed to say something and his subordinates would directly deliver the news to him. He just needed to sit and wait. I don't have any other intention to catch that guy. You see, I went to their clan early in the morning and killed this and that. I have killed at least 10 people. Did I say that it was hard for me? No, I didn't. Of course, the reward is secondary. However, since I came out to kill people, I should at least get some reward for my hard work. Li Zongjio waved his hand and said. It was as if someone was asking him to kill someone. Moreover, looking at Li Zongjio's expression, it seemed like he was feeling very wronged. One had to know that many people had been killed by him. How could these people feel wronged? Go back and think about it. How much is the total value of these people's lives? Then you can name a price and take him away. This matter is over. I won't pursue it anymore. What do you think? Li Zongjio said. His attitude was very sincere. It seemed like he came here to solve this problem. However, the content was very strange. It even made people start to doubt whether Li Zongjio's brain was normal. You mean, you killed our people and we have to pay you? Nye Tianhong suddenly said angrily. He had never seen such a shameless person. Such a shameless person and such a shameless request. Nye Tianhong couldn't wait to slap Li Zongjio a few times. Shut up. Nantian Dan King's face was gloomy. His angry shout made Nye Tianhong tremble. He suddenly realized that he shouldn't speak first in front of his master. Li Xiao, the reward you want is naturally not a problem. However, I don't know whether Elder Lu is dead or alive. Can you let me see him? I guarantee that you will be satisfied with the amount of reward I give you after this. When he said this, Nantian Dan King really wanted to kill Li Zongjio directly and give him the reward. After he took Elder Lu away, he would directly call 100 yuan monarch-level experts to rush to Li Zongjio's house and chop him into pieces. Then, he would see how long Li Zongjio could be so arrogant. Tisk, tsk, tsk. Look at these upper-class people. They're really good at what they say. They obviously want to find someone to kill me, but on the surface, they still say that they'll give me money. After I let them go, they'll find someone to kill me and take back all the money. Isn't that killing two birds with one stone? Li Zongjiu said directly exposing Nantian Dan King's face. Nantian Dan King's face darkened immediately. Fortunately, there weren't many people around. Yinghu, who had just received so many elixirs from Li Zongjiu, naturally stood beside Li Zongjiu and nodded seriously. Not only you, young master, but I think I will also be killed by them. Right? That's why you should prepare what I want first. After I enjoy it and continue to live for another 8 to 10 years, I will let her go when I feel that this matter is over. Don't worry. That's right. Zhang Tai said. That's right. Chapter 599. Li Zongjiu obviously wanted to act shamelessly and refused to hand over the person to South Heaven Dan King. Li Zongjiu, do you not trust me, the South Heaven Pill King? South Heaven Pill King said in a deep voice. He had no other choice but to use his name in order to make a deterrent effect at this moment. You're really shameless. Who gave you the courage to call yourself Dan King? Li Zongjiu sneered. Why haven't I heard of it? Young master, South Heaven Dan King's name is issued by Heavenly Dan Pavilion. There is a certificate. Shadow Fox moved closer to Li Zongjiu and whispered something to him. Li Zongjiu immediately glared at him. Are you an idiot? Li Zongjiu didn't know what to say. Li Zongjiu, a wise man submits to circumstances. I'll give you face and not make trouble in your mansion because you're young and promising. But you should at least give me some face. Otherwise, you'll only suffer losses. South Heaven Dan King said in a deep voice. In the past, no matter where he went, as long as he said his name, it would always work. But now, he had mentioned his name in front of Li Zongjiu many times. Who knew that Li Zongjiu would pretend that he had never heard of his name and thought that he was fooling around? Facing such a shameless person who pretended to be stupid, South Heaven Dan King naturally wanted to kill Li Zongjiu with one palm. Okay, my request is very simple. 100 upper-grade primordial stones and I'll let you take him away. Li Zongjiu pinched his fingers and calculated. 100 upper-grade primordial stones should not be a loss. The value of upper-grade primordial stones was naturally not something that could be calculated easily. After South Heaven Dan King heard Li Zongjiu's request, he could not wait to rush up and crush Li Zongjiu's head. What did you say? 100 upper-grade primordial stones. Even my yearly salary in the Spirit Valley sect is only 5 upper-grade primeval stones. In other words, Nantian Dan King was tempted by Spirit Valley sect's generous offer and chose to join them. That was exactly 5 upper-grade primal stones. Just 5 upper-grade primal stones was enough to sell him out. However, Li Zongjiu asked for 100 upper-grade primordial stones. As the South Heaven Pill King, he would need at least 20 years of salary to pay the ransom. Perhaps for Spirit Valley sect, 100 upper-grade primordial stones was not a big deal, but they would definitely not allow Li Zongjiu to do whatever he wanted. Later on, they would definitely be furious and kill Li Zongjiu. Even if they had to sacrifice Elder Lu Wenshan's life, they had to protect the dignity of Spirit Valley sect. They would never be threatened by a child. As one of the top forces in Jianhu, Spirit Valley sect would never allow such a thing to happen. Li Zongjiu, don't go too far. I'm here to talk to you now. After some time, it won't be so simple. Nantian Dan King still wanted to threaten Li Zongjiu, but in Li Zongjiu's eyes, his words were useless. There was nothing to be afraid of. Could it be that Li Zongjiu, who had been out here for more than 3,000 years, was frightened by a single sentence from you? If you can't take out these upper-grade primordial stones, then leave quickly. Don't disturb my cultivation here. Also, let me tell you, 100 upper-grade primordial stones now. If you come back later, it won't be the same price. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Li Zongjiu was already annoyed by the South Heaven Pill King's repeated threats. You old man, Why do you keep mentioning your name? Do you think I'm afraid of you? Li Zongjiu thought. Nantian Dan King was ready to fight. But at this moment, his primordial qi was boiling in his chest. He could only watch Li Zongjiu in front of him, gasping for breath. Those who didn't know what was going on would think that he was doing something. Master, you, Nye Tianhong looked at Nantian Dan King beside him. It seemed like they were playing a game in front of his eyes. It made people's heart ache. What was he doing? Good, very good. Since you insist on being the enemy of Spirit Valley sect, then you can only bear the consequences. Nantian Dan King said and waved his hand. Zhang Kuang, what are you waiting for? Get up now. Zhang Kuang was still lying on the ground. Obviously, he was seriously injured by the Howling Moon Wolf King, so he couldn't get up until now. Nye Tianhong stepped forward and helped Zhang Kuang up. The bloody hole on his body was still bleeding profusely. It was a frightening sight. Wouldn't it hurt to have such a big bloody hole? Li Zongjiu naturally didn't stop him. This insolence wasn't worth much. Not everyone was qualified to be a hostage in Li Zongjiu's hands. Those who weren't qualified would basically have their lives taken away. Nantian Pill King took the heavily injured Zhang Kuang and left after paying the 10 fifth-grade pills. The people outside might not know about the situation inside, but if they did, they would be shocked to the point where their jaws would drop. Nantian Dan King didn't expect to return empty-handed in the end. He could only leave with his tail between his legs. Young master, you should stay at home during this period of time and not go out, right? Inghu asked worriedly. Li Zongjiu had offended Nantian Dan King and the Spirit Valley sect. It sounded like they were quite powerful. Now that they knew that Li Zongjiu lived here, if Li Zongjiu left and these people came to kill him, wouldn't Inghu be the next person to be killed? If Li Zongjiu wasn't here, who would protect him? He didn't offend any small fry, but someone at the level of Nantian Dan King. When he thought about how he was in Li Zongjiu's hands, he didn't have much luck. It seemed like he was always in a tricked state. Last time, Li Zongjiu killed Yilantian, causing Inghu to be counted for a long time. He didn't want such a thing to happen again. You're right. I'm going out now. The two of you stay at home. Now that the door lock is broken, take care of yourselves. After Li Zongjiu finished speaking, he directly walked out. No, young master, if you leave now, then do I have to go out and hide as well, Inghu said nervously. If you leave just like that, then wouldn't it be dangerous for me to be left alone? Where are you going? At least bring me with you. You stay at home and look after the hostage in the stable. After Li Zongjiu said this, he left White Deer Manor. Inghu was alone in this huge manor. He felt a sense of danger, as if someone would jump out from the side and stab him to death if he moved. Young master, don't tell me you ran away and left me here as a scapegoat. Chapter 600. After Li Zongjiu left the manor, he walked towards the Qi family. The price of Lu Wenshan's life was 100 upper-grade primordial stones, which was a little cheap for them. Given the Spirit Valley sect's collection over the years, they must have a lot of primordial stones in stock. It would not be difficult for them to take out 100 upper-grade primordial stones. However, no one knew how long it would take for these people to pay the ransom. Before that, given Li Zongjiu's character, he would definitely provoke a large number of people. If these people were really unafraid of death and wanted to launch a sneak attack in the middle of the night, it would be impossible to guard against them. Although Li Zongjiu did not accumulate too many Yuan rune formations in his previous life, he could still take out 3 to 5 of them. If he wanted to set up a Yuan rune formation, he would still have to buy the upper-grade primordial stones. Li Zongjiu had not found any other way for the time being. Even if he looked for Song Jieyu, it would still be a little lacking. Although Song Jieyu's 7-star fire room was very big, the level of consumption was below the Yuan King realm. Have you ever seen an Yuan emperor go to the 7-star fire room to buy weapons? However, a primitive emperor would have to find a channel to purchase some upper-grade primordial stones. This was something that couldn't be avoided. Therefore, the Qi family had the best access to the upper-grade primordial stones. Li Zongjiu trusted the Qi family's style very much. Qi Shaohun, as the patriarch of the Qi family, was the one who made the Qi family rise in this crisis. Under the leadership of the patriarch of the Qi family had always been upright. In the previous life, it was precisely because the Qi family did not want to wallow in the mire with the Qin Yuan manor and wanted to preserve its righteousness that it was directly destroyed. If he remembered correctly, it should be the Qin Yuan manor. Just like that, Li Zongjiu swaggered into the Qi family. In fact, Li Zongjiu's identity had already attracted the attention of some forces in the city. Under this level of attention, every move of Li Zongjiu would cause information to spread all over the place. The Qi family's patriarch soon found out that Li Zongjiu had come to their Qi family. The head of the Qi clan, Qi Shaohun, was also puzzled. He didn't know Li Zongjiu, so why did he come here? Was he here to beg for mercy? I've heard that Yanran and Li Zongjiu have some ambiguous relationship. Could it be that there's something going on between them? However, Qi Shaohun did not refuse Li Zongjiu's visit. First of all, although Li Zongjiu's style of doing things was not very proper, at least he had his own rules and principles. This could be seen by many people. Moreover, the reason why these forces attacked Li Zongjiu this time was precisely because of the item in Li Zongjiu's hand. These shameless people, could it be that Li Zongjiu could not fight back? Serves him right to sit here and wait to be killed by them. Therefore, Qi Shaohun did not refuse Li Zongjiu's visit. Instead, he was very welcoming. These people were always full of themselves, so Qi Shaohun had long been unhappy with them. Young Master Li, please come in. The patriarch has been waiting for a long time. Before Li Zongjiu knocked on the door, a servant had already opened the door and kindly welcomed Li Zongjiu in. Even the guards at the door did not have time to stop him. Therefore, Li Zongjiu walked in under the surprised eyes of the guards. Young Master Li, this way please. The patriarch is waiting for you in the study. Li Zongjiu was brought to Qi Shaohun's study. Qi Shaohun had already brewed the tea. I have long heard of your name, Li Zongjiu. Seeing you today, you are indeed extraordinary. Qi Shaohun laughed and said after seeing Li Zongjiu. Come, I have long wanted to make friends with a hero like you. Let's have a drink. Then, he pushed the tea on the table to Li Zongjiu. Freshly brewed biluakun. This was also the first time Li Zongjiu saw Qi Shaohun. Li Zongjiu had seen many experts, many of whom were stronger than Qi Shaohun. However, after seeing Qi Shaohun, he finally understood why Qi Shaohun was able to fight against 5 people alone in his previous life. This was a kind of momentum of bravery. A person with this kind of momentum was definitely not simple. If it wasn't for that incident in his previous life, Qi Shaohun's achievements would be far more powerful. I have long heard that the patriarch of the Qi family is incomparably domineering. Sure enough, it is better to meet you in person. You are indeed a hero among men. Li Zongjiu did not hesitate and directly cupped his hands and said. This was not a compliment. It was almost impossible for Li Zongjiu to compliment someone. It was a very honest evaluation of Li Zongjiu. You flatter me. I, Qi Shaohun, admire what you have done in the city, Li Zongjiu. If you have any request, just say it. As long as my Qi family is able to do it, we will not hesitate. Qi Shaohun was naturally very straightforward. Since Li Zongjiu came to the door, he must have a request. Otherwise, he would not come to drink tea with you. Therefore, Qi Shaohun did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Patriarch of the Qi family is very straightforward. I will say it directly. I need a batch of primordial stones. The higher the grade, the better. The more, the better. Li Zongjiu said. Qi Shaohun listened to Li Zongjiu's words. Although he knew that Li Zongjiu's request was not low, he did not expect that it was to buy primordial stones. Primordial stones were different from other things. If you are talking about other things, you can imagine how to get them. Primordial stones were a precious resource. First of all, they were mined under the supervision of the dynasty. Many of the transactions were targeted. That was to say, the primordial stones that one dug out could only be sold to these people and could not be traded privately. Of course, it was not a problem for you to steal a little to fill your pocket. How much do you want? Qi Shaohun did not directly refuse. After all, a young man like Li Zongjiu was rare. Therefore, if he could help, he would naturally help. 50 high-grade primordial stones, middle-grade primordial stones, however much you have. Li Zongjiu said. Brother, it's not that I don't want to help you. Although my Qi family controls 2 primordial stone mines, it is actually a kind of mining. The right to deal with these primordial stones is not in my hands. What I can help you with is very little. Qi Shaohun's tone was sincere. Li Zongjiu just listened at the side and did not say anything. Obviously, Qi Shaohun was also calculating in his heart and mobilizing the resources in his hands. How about this, 10 high-grade primordial stones, 100 middle-grade primordial stones, this is the limit I can give you. As for the price, the lowest price should be 2 times the market price. Qi Shaohun said. Although the price was relatively high, it was still under the condition that one had the resources to offer such a price. Otherwise, one would not be able to buy it even if one had the money. Moreover, the price of 2 times the market price was actually very low. It could be said that Qi Shaohun was very considerate to Li Zongjiu. Since Master Qi is so considerate, I will naturally not make things difficult for you by offering 3 times the market price. Just give me a number. Li Zongjiu said. Since Qi Shaohun was generous, Li Zongjiu was naturally more generous. Chapter 601. Qi Shaohun quickly prepared the primordial stones. 10 upper-grade primordial stones and 100 middle-grade primordial stones. In the end, he paid a total of 100 million purple yuan. The price of a high-grade origin stone, according to the lowest grade, was close to 1 million purple yuan. The price of one middle-grade primordial stone was about 100,000 purple yuan. Therefore, if the price was tripled, it would be about 90 million purple yuan. Some of the better quality primordial stones were naturally more expensive. 100 million purple yuan was not profitable. Li Zongjiu was clear that this was not something that could be bought with money. It was completely giving face to Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu was not the kind of person who did not appreciate face given to him. Although one upper-grade primordial stone could be bought for 1 million purple yuan, the price was not low. The unit price didn't seem high, but if an ordinary primitive emperor were to cultivate, it would consume one upper-grade primordial stone every day. How much would one accumulate in a month? If 1 month was not enough, 1 year or even 10 years would be needed. That was a very frightening number. In addition, a small breakthrough would require an uncountable number of upper-grade primordial stones. In addition, resources were hard to come by. Many times, some upper-grade primordial stones that were exposed outside would cost 5 to 6 million purple yuan. It was simply beyond imagination. The transaction ended quickly. There was no doubt or hesitation between the two. It was refreshing to make a deal with someone who did not play tricks. In the future, if Patriarch Qi has any needs, just send someone to inform me. I, Li Zongjiu, will be at your beck and call. After that, Li Zongjiu cupped his hands and said to Qi Shaohun. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Qi Shaohun was naturally very happy. What he wanted was Li Zongjiu's words. He did not care about the price. Could it be that his Qi clan could not take out 100 million purple yuan? What he really cared about was the promise of a talent like Li Zongjiu. With Li Zongjiu's strength, if he could survive, it would certainly be a big deal in the future. It was enough to see how important such a person's promise would be. With your words, my help is not in vain. Rest assured, if I have any trouble in the future, I will definitely come to you first. Qi Shaohun said. He did not treat Li Zongjiu as an ordinary young man. How could an ordinary young man casually make an order of 100 million purple yuan? Being able to have such courage and directly come to talk business with Qi Shaohun, it was unknown how many young talents were like mice in front of a cat in front of Qi Shaohun. Qi Shaohun would not say much about such a situation. After all, they were just young people. However, he could not find such a feeling from Li Zongjiu. He even felt that Li Zongjiu was almost at the same level as him. Not only that, but he could also clearly feel that Li Zongjiu's temperament was far above his. Therefore, Qi Shaohun did not look down on Li Zongjiu. If it was some self-righteous person, they would not even bother to talk to Li Zongjiu. The most direct result would be to be directly destroyed by Li Zongjiu. Then I will take my leave first. Li Zongjiu cupped his hands and said. Then I won't see you out. I still have things to deal with here. Qi Shaohun did not speak politely and let Li Zongjiu leave by himself. When Li Zongjiu left, a figure hurriedly came into Qi Shaohun's study. Qi Shaohun was surprised when he saw this person. Hey, isn't this our family's eldest miss? Why do you have time to come and see father? Qi Shaohun could not help but deliberately tease Qi Yanran when he saw that she was in a hurry. You're not serious. Where is Li Zongjiu? When Qi Yanran saw Qi Shaohun's teasing look, she immediately felt ashamed and angry. From the expression on his face, it was obvious that Qi Shaohun was deliberately making fun of her. You mean that handsome young man? Qi Shaohun purposely dragged out his words and didn't say where he had gone. You didn't drive him out, did you? He is my friend. Qi Yanran was worried that Qi Shaohun looked down on Li Zongjiu or deliberately made things difficult for Li Zongjiu and directly drove Li Zongjiu out. She immediately said anxiously. Seeing how anxious his daughter was, Qi Shaohun laughed out loud. Look at how anxious you are. I haven't said anything yet and you look like you want to eat me. Qi Yanran saw Qi Shaohun's appearance. Don't worry, father has helped you to find a good young man. Qi Shaohun said. Qi Yanran's face suddenly changed. She felt that her father deliberately made fun of her and deliberately made fun of her. You're not serious. I will go and find him myself. Qi Yanran said. No, you can't go and find him now. Qi Shaohun suddenly said seriously. Li Zongjiu himself has caused a lot of trouble. If you can't solve these problems, you rashly approaching Li Zongjiu will inevitably lead others to target our Qi family. Moreover, it's too early for you to go now. My friend is in trouble, of course I will help him. Qi Yanran obviously knew what happened to Li Zongjiu recently. There were already more than 10 people who paid attention to Li Zongjiu in this city, so she was very clear about the situation around Li Zongjiu. Of course I will help my friend when he is in trouble, but now is not the time. Wait until he really needs help, then you will get twice the result with half the effort. What's more, with that kid's temper, do you think he will accept your help? Qi Shaohun said. After all, he was experienced and could see that Li Zongjiu was not a person who bowed his head easily. Even when he came to buy primordial stones from him, he did not take advantage of him at all. Therefore, Qi Shaohun recognized Li Zongjiu so much. Faintly, he also had the demeanor of a great master. Besides, with your level, if you go, you'll probably need someone to protect you. Qi Shaohun said. When Qi Yanran heard this, she recalled the previous incident. If it wasn't for Li Zongjiu, she might have been killed. It was really like what Qi Shaohun said. It's none of your business. In desperation, Qi Yan Ran stomped her feet in anger. Then, she took small steps and directly escaped from Qi Shaohun's study. It seemed that if she stayed for another minute, she would be exposed. There was always a kind of uncomfortable feeling. However, Qi Yan Ran did not run to Li Zongjiu in the end. After all, Li Zongjiu was not clear about his situation. If she rashly intervened, it might bring trouble to Li Zongjiu. So for the time being, it was better to be safe. Of course, the most important thing was to improve her strength. This was the most important thing. Otherwise, even if Li Zongjiu really encountered some difficulties, she still had no way to help him. Chapter 602. Li Zongjiu once again returned to the White Deer Manor. It had only been 2 hours since he left. He had completed a huge order of nearly 100 million purple yuan. No one would dare to believe it. When Yinghu saw that Li Zongjiu had returned, he heaved a sigh of relief. Otherwise, he would have been on tenterhooks the entire time. He would have been worried that something bad would happen at every moment. Would someone rush in to assassinate him in the next second? If it was an assassination, he did not have to worry. Within the Sacred Flame Royal City, if someone wanted to assassinate him, he would not have to worry about it. However, if the person's level was much higher than Yinghu's, then even if he worried, it would not be useless. "Young master, you are finally back," Yinghu said excitedly. "Go and find 5 big stones. Make sure they are good-looking. Each stone should weigh exactly 7 tons. Li Zongjiu said. Yinghu felt strange when he heard Li Zongjiu's order. Why did he need so many big stones? Moreover, they had to weigh exactly 7 tons. However, he never hesitated when it came to Li Zongjiu's orders. Moreover, Li Zongjiu seemed to be very busy. After responding, he went out to find some stone merchants. Li Zongjiu was designing some patterns on a stone slab. If I remember correctly, this should be the 1,000-horse dismemberment array. A complicated array pattern appeared in Li Zongjiu's hand. If these array patterns were to be carved normally, they would only be simple patterns. Only after infusing yuan power and energy into them would they be able to unleash their power. Only then would the yuan rune array possess true power. Li Zongjiu checked it repeatedly. If there were no problems with the basic array pattern, then he could start carving on the primordial stone. When the array pattern was carved on the primordial stone, it would produce power. The yuan rune array would stimulate the power of the primordial stone. Different yuan rune arrays would produce different effects. The formation in Li Zongjiu's hand was called the 1,000-horse dismemberment formation. Li Zongjiu was probably the only person in the world who would set up a 10,000 horses dismemberment array in his own home. Ordinary people would find it hard to believe such a hobby. As for the power of this array, they would only know after testing it on someone. A mid-grade primordial stone appeared in his hand. The Howling Moon Wolf King also came over and stood in front of Li Zongjiu. After all, these yuan stones were relatively precious items. Some of the yuan stone mines in the wild would basically be occupied by some powerful yuan beasts. Just how powerful were these meta beasts? Even now, the humans had yet to kill the meta beasts. They didn't even dare to approach them. That was enough to prove how powerful the meta beasts were. The Howling Moon Wolf King was lying on the side. Li Zongjiu's spiritual energy had also transformed into a carving knife. The carving of the yuan stone was also very important. Firstly, one's spiritual energy had to reach a certain standard. Otherwise, if one's spiritual energy was slightly off, this yuan stone could no longer be used. The crux of the yuan stone lay in a line. Even if it was a turn, it couldn't be wrong. If it was wrong, this yuan stone could no longer be used to carve the yuan stone. It was equivalent to it being scrapped. It had been a long time since he had done this kind of work. Li Zhongzhou's spiritual energy gradually merged into the Yuan stone and carved it. The extremely complicated Yuan stone gradually took shape under Li Zhongzhou's meticulous carving. After an hour, Li Zhongzhou opened his eyes and heaved a sigh of relief. This matter was much more difficult than he had imagined. Furthermore, it wasn't as smooth as it was in his previous life. If I activate my Yuan spirit energy, the effect should be pretty good. After an entire hour, Li Zhongzhou finally finished carving this Yuan stone. As for the remaining 99 mid-grade Yuan stones, he had to carve them one by one. Since it was the 1,000-horse dismemberment array, it naturally had to consume a sufficient amount of Yuan stones. The more Yuan stones there were, the more powerful the array would be. The speed and power of killing would also be faster and stronger. Li Zhongzhou activated his Yuan spirit energy. Of course, he didn't activate it completely. The white dragon's Yuan spirit energy was attached to his body, causing Li Zhongzhou's originally bright vision to instantly soar by dozens of times. This kind of terrifying effect. It also made Li Zhongzhou feel unusually excited. As expected of the Yuan spirit energy. This effect is indeed powerful. When he carved the Yuan stone again, Li Zhongzhou's speed and accuracy had increased by more than 10 times. During this process, Li Zhongzhou could also easily carve the Yuan stone. Phew! Li Zhongzhou did it in one go. Under the support of the white dragon's Yuan spirit, he completed the carving of a mid-grade Yuan stone in a short 5 minutes. After that, Li Zhongzhou didn't get tired of controlling his mental energy and continued to carve. Under the carving of the Yuan stone, Li Zhongzhou could clearly feel the increase in his strength. His mental energy was gradually increasing. Through this, by using this method of carving, the strength of the power was increased. I didn't expect that carving the Yuan stone would have such a great effect on the increase of mental energy. Li Zhongzhou rarely tried to carve the Yuan stone in his previous life. At that time, Li Zhongzhou's mental energy was already very strong. Although he knew that carving the Yuan stone was very demanding and supportive of mental energy. Only after personally experiencing it, did he know how powerful the effect of this method was. Immediately, Li Zhongzhou immersed himself in the cultivation and didn't get tired of it. 100 mid-grade primordial stones were easily obtained in just one afternoon. Under the support of the white dragon's Yuan spirit, Li Zhongzhou didn't feel tired at all. Instead, he was extremely excited. He was eager to try. The carving of the upper-grade Yuan stone will be 10 times, or even 100 times more difficult than the mid-grade Yuan stone. Li Zhongzhou scrutinized the upper-grade Yuan stone in his hand. This upper-grade Yuan stone in Li Zhongzhou's hand also showed a powerful luster. An ordinary Yuan stone only needed to be used as the eye of the formation for an ordinary Yuan stone. However, Li Zhongzhou wouldn't let go of those who were about to come to his door so easily. He had to carve at least 3 upper-grade Yuan stones. If some Yuan stone array masters were to find out, Li Zhongzhou was about to complete the construction of the Yuan stone array in just one afternoon. He would probably be so angry that he would vomit blood. They were all humans, but why was there such a huge gap between them? One had to know that the 1,000-horse dismemberment array had the power of a level 4 grade array. It could easily crush and kill any Yuan ancestor realm elite. The carving and drawing of such a great array required at least 3 level 4 Yuan stone array masters to carve together. It would take at least a week or so. Some Yuan stone array masters could become array masters, while others could only carve Yuan weapons. Although the principle was the same, the effects would be different because of the different array patterns that were learned. One was to carve the Yuan stone on a weapon, while the other was to carve the Yuan stone on a spiritual stone. There was a limit to the amount that an Yuan stone array master could learn. Usually, learning a set of array patterns would take many years. The most important thing was to be able to practice until one was very proficient. Only in this way could the power of the Yuan stone array be unleashed to the best of its ability. Let me test your prowess. Immediately, Li Zhongzhou's mind power was like a tiny spirit needle that gently pierced into the upper-grade Yuan stone. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.